Canada goes to shits, I'll go here. If here goes to shits,
Yeah.
I'll go here.
Options,
I'll
yeah.
move around wherever I need to go.
Okay.
So
Okay. That's good.
yeah, so it's scary, but yeah, that's kind of, I don't say staying. So that's I'm not saying at all. I'm kind of slowly losing my mind, but hey, I'm 30. I give myself 5 more years before I lose my mind. Okay? I got 5 more years in me to just hold on. So.
Guys, welcome outro episode do HUMA Podcast. O episode vai ser diferente. Nós vai ter em inglês. Nos guests já está Levon Movsessian. Então, ser entrepreneur. Nós temos ele para sobre que começar a investir em Aruba. E tem uma história muito interessante, então nós vai dive dentro aí. So yeah, Levon, just did a quick shout out.
Oh yeah, for sure. I understood it all. Don't worry.
Yeah, you understand it all. Cool. You remember the 2 words we taught you?
No, I don't.
You forgot them
already.
They're important. The one, the coño.
Coyo.
Yeah, coño.
Okay, perfect.
It's fine.
Now everyone heard me swear.
Yeah.
Started off good.
So yeah, man, we met like Wednesday, like a brief introduction. We got to know you. I think our audience is interested too, and to get to know you a little bit more. Quick rundown: you started as a zookeeper, and then you invested in crypto. And
yeah, pretty much.
Became a hotshot, basically. There's a bunch
Somehow,
of
accident.
There's a bunch of articles written on this guy. You guys can Google him. I did. So yeah, man, tell us your story, man. How you started, where you're from, actually.
Yeah, for sure. Well, before I go on that, like, thank you guys for having me here. Honestly, it was kind of a shocker. I had a good friend that actually knew you guys really well.
Yeah,
and
shout out to Dennis. Dennis hooked it up, man.
And he told me you guys were, good group of guys that had a podcast going, and
who like to talk shit.
Well, why not, right? Yeah. It's Aruba, you guys. He said you cigars and scotch, and I was like, shit, this sounds like a good podcast. So, so definitely happy to be here. And yeah, I would love to, let your audience know quickly, what my background is and where I started and how I ended up investing in Aruba and how all that came to be. As you said, I started in the animal world, so that's kind of a very weird transition. It's weird, but most people won't expect that transition. But I've always loved animals, and I've kind of come back into my passion now with animal sanctuaries and charities that I've been running. So again, my start was 15, 16 years old. I was about to get my first job, looking around Toronto. I'm from Toronto, Canada.
Right after high school then?
Basically. I was like in high school still, right? High school, you graduate 18, I think. So I was like maybe grade 9, grade 10. And it was like legally, you can, I don't know about here, but in Canada, you can't work before you're 16, right? The second you turn 16, you can get your first job. So I started looking around, and by chance, I stumbled on Reptilia, which is a reptile zoo in Canada. It's the largest private zoo. And I ended up remembering that I had a lizard growing up, and I loved animals. So I said, you know what, screw it. Send my application there, and I'll be my first job. Shit, I really liked that job. So I ended up becoming really good at it, and ended up, becoming a zookeeper and becoming a manager, and like really moved up the ranks really quick. I ended up becoming one of the best animal experts in Canada, which was kind of really cool. Having to do, it's crazy, man. Like
the Steve Irwin of
not that big, but
kind of.
In a way.
Direction,
but it was pretty cool, man. Imagine being a 16, 17-year-old kid up to my 20s
and doing what you love,
like wrestling crocodiles and cobras, and like having to do surgeries on them. Like it was it kind of, I think that was a good boost for understanding how to run a business. I got very entrepreneurial while I was there, and to the point where I ended up helping with the business development of the company, and that I think gave me a lot of like confidence on how to operate a large corporation.
Thought about smuggling reptiles?
The which one?
Smuggling reptiles?
Oh no, there's not. Well, actually, we did deal with smuggling reptiles but we would get
big
the smugglers.
Money, man.
Yeah, it is. and the thing is, we were the ones that would end up taking on the animals that were getting smuggled and get caught, and we would be the ones to have to take them in and give
them habitat and do
exactly, because some of them we couldn't rehome, right, because they're dangerous animals. That's actually how Reptilia started. That's actually how all the animals came to be. Originally, it was a rescue, right? So that's how it kind of transitioned into a full-blown zoo, and now they have 3 locations. So we've really grown from there. But I honestly, that was like an early start. Really fun time in my life, but it kind of transitioned and really changed when I started dabbling into crypto.
That was around which year?
It's about like 11 years now, 12 years now. So I was like
at it.
Pretty early.
Yeah, pretty early. And what ended up happening was I just had a friend that said, "Hey, listen, I heard some news about some online money, and it's called Bitcoins." And I was like, "What the fuck is that shit? That sounds weird. It sounds like a scam." He's like, "Listen, like there's a meetup in Toronto downtown. Like, let's just go." And I'm like, "You know what? I never say no to anything. An opportunity, I take it," which is kind of an important thing for people to understand, especially young people today. Keep your mind open, man. Any opportunity, time. Listen, a lot of kids waste their time playing video games, doing dumb shit. Any opportunity comes your way, don't say no. Go figure it out. Go see it. Go check it out. You don't know what can happen, right? Yeah. So I ended up going to that meetup and started learning about the technology. And there was this couple of people that were very well versed in blockchain at the time. And they were explaining to us how the blockchain worked and why Bitcoin was so important and how it was going to change the world and how blockchain technology was going to revolutionize not just the monetary policies we have today, but also how we run governments, how we run elections, how we run companies and data sharing, right? So, you know, it just hit me at that day that I was like, holy shit, this is some serious stuff I stumbled onto. Like, this might be actually something really, really important. So I started paying a lot closer attention to it. And funny enough, those meetups at those times when we had gone, the people that were at those meetups ended up now becoming some of the biggest tycoons in the crypto space, including, like, for example, the founder of Ethereum and like all these other big tycoons, because at the time, Toronto was one of the starting hubs for cryptocurrency. So I was kind of lucky in that sense. But what ended up happening was, you know, these kids and these small kids that were just coders and kind of nerdy kids ended up being the brainchild for a lot of the development. I was lucky. Listen, I'm not no super genius. I'm not one of those crazy.
You don't consider yourself a guru?
No, listen, I work with a lot of people like that. I think I'm very business minded. I do see opportunities. I'm aggressive. I don't give up. I think that's my best attribute is I'm determined as hell. If I want something to happen, I don't stop. I don't care how many times it fucks up and I have to start over again. I'll keep trying until I make it. I think that's my biggest attribute. But I was able to come into an area where, you know, there wasn't a lot of business-minded people. It was a lot more tech, like engineers and tech guys that were super, super smart, but didn't know how to apply it into a business world.
Monetize it.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't know how to monetize it or make it valuable. So I came in at the right time and I said, yo, guys, what you have here is gold. Let's do something with it. So that was kind of my start. Ended up starting a small school, an online school that ended up growing pretty big, shut it down. Then from there, I ended up going into blockchain and development. So I was, you know, companies that wanted to develop technology, like the blockchain technology, they would come to us and we would help them develop that into their companies, which was a lot of fun. Eventually moved on from there to having my own hedge fund and trading programs and softwares, which I do currently. And, you know, just being an entrepreneur, investing into companies, you know, always finding good opportunities and just being very versatile. My recent goals and my recent aspirations are to actually create that real estate fund, which I've been doing for the last year to 6 months, like really aggressively. And the reason why I think I've pushed really aggressively to get away from the, you know, from the blockchain space. Number one, it's a very saturated market now. And I think there's a lot of smart people in the space that are doing really good stuff. And I'm happy to watch. I'm kind of exhausted from it. Okay. It's a very exhausting industry to be in. It has a lot of chaos and a lot of regulatory issues. And, you know, it's a constant battle. Yeah, whenever you're in the crypto space, you're constantly battling against governments, against banks, against everybody. And I love to do it. And I'll love to talk about it and still encourage people. But I think I want to take a step back from being so heavily involved in that space and kind of take a step back and think to myself, okay, I'll do it for myself, but I want to formulate another business and another strategy, which has led me to real estate. Now, I've always been involved in real estate because I've had my license in Canada. So I've practiced real estate for over 12 years now.
That was right before or at the same time?
That was the same time as crypto. It was the same time I got my real estate license too. Yeah, well, the thing was, at the time, you know,
when I thought crypto was going to be like...
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought it was just a stupid hobby on the side I was having fun with. I didn't think it was a career. I had to convince my mom to actually drop out of university at the time. I had to drop out of university and I told her, listen, I don't think there's money here. I want to do real estate and I want to, you know, sell homes. Because at the time, my parents were good at, like, you know, building and renovating their own home and making some side cash like that. So I thought to myself, hey, this is a good opportunity to you know, buy and sell homes. And again, like real estate in Toronto was booming like mad. So you're selling a house for $1 million, $2 million. You're making a 2.5% commission on it every time. It was good money. And, like I had that spirit of chasing and going and finding clients. I was very good at socializing with people. So I thought to myself, this is easy money for me. I should definitely do it. But coming back to it now, having that expertise and that experience in real estate, I know that having a real estate fund in the Caribbean is just an incredible opportunity. It's almost like a guaranteed cash cow. Okay. And the reason why is because even though we're going to talk a little bit probably later about like the state of the world and the economy situation right now, but the idea that you have a few islands in the Caribbean that have beachfront properties, that have these kind of luxury properties, even not the luxury ones, even the $500,000 condos. There's only so many that you can possibly build. There's a limit, right? You go to Canada. Canada's fucking empty, guys. Like you could build another town, another metropolitan city, and it could keep getting built and keep getting built. So as demand is needed and the prices go too high, you can expand. And there's that crawl through the urban crawl, and you keep spreading and spreading and spreading. So yes, prices will go up in those areas, but when we have an economic crisis, which we're coming towards, real estate in Canada, America, and those large countries will obviously come down. Whereas I feel like in Aruba, St. Martin, and other places, wealth from other nations are going to start pouring into other countries like the islands or Saudi Arabia or Dubai and places like that. So those are the better places to be investing in right now, and maybe not Canada and the US. Okay, so that's kind of my mindset. And I do love the rental market that you guys have here. Tourism is booming, guys. Like this island is booming with tourists, and I see so much growth opportunity here. So that's why I'm kind of excited to come here. I just have to deal with island time. That's a really frustrating thing to deal with, guys. I like stuff done like right now. Everyone's just relaxing, and I'm like, guys, okay, hurry up a bit. I want stuff moving. So that's kind of like a very broad explanation of like
how long you've been trying or been doing business on the island.
So Aruba right now, I just started. So I came to what ended up happening is I actually I retired my parents about 2 years ago now. Finally, that was a really big accomplishment for me. And so basically when I retired my parents, they were jewelers. And I said, like, enough is enough. I need help. My business is growing. I'm doing better. You guys don't need to work anymore and don't need to worry about my sister and anybody else. Like, I'll take care of it. I just need your help now. So I turned around and I told them, listen, my dad's been dying to go on vacations and just relax on an island. He loves that lifestyle. So I said, listen, take the whole damn year off, travel, go find all the best islands and just scout. You're basically going to scout the islands for me. I trust their judgment and opinion so much. So I said, just go on the island, find the right ones, the ones that have the best opportunity. So the two that we landed on that we really like is Aruba and St. Martin.
So they scouted Aruba for you?
Yeah, so they discussed. Well, yeah, basically they came here and they looked around. They looked at the way the tourism was going and the condominiums and asked around. Asked the accountants, asked people, locals, and see what's going on. And you have to physically be there to really understand what's happening. So, again, Aruba. My mom loves Aruba. Me and my dad love St. Martin. Okay, I do love Aruba too, but I think. Again, it's a very interesting thing for Aruba. Is one of the safest islands I've ever seen. One of the most stable islands I've ever seen. As a first-time investor or someone who has, a little bit of money to throw around, Aruba is such an easy place to come and invest in, man. Like, you buy a condo here, you got 80% or higher occupancy rates here because the weather is guaranteed consistent all the time. You have no hurricane season, no bad season. So you can have consistent rentals. And I know condominiums here even actually help do the entire rental process. Right. So there's a lot of good investment opportunities on the island, even for anybody else. But St. Martin's a bit more of a hit or miss. You're dealing with a lot more complications with hurricanes and stuff. But, there's also a lot of like beachfront villas and other stuff that this island might not have. But again, every island has its pros and cons. So, but definitely love being here. Spend a couple months at a time.
I asked you that because I wanted to know, like, what are some of the issues that you've encountered as somebody from another country investing in Aruba. You said island time was one of them.
Yeah, island time is one of them. I guess, listen, issues-wise, I think Aruba is actually the easiest out of all of them in terms of you guys have a good government, good infrastructure. You don't have fucked up roads like other islands. Okay. Like you have, it feels like a first world country. You're not coming to some small dinky island with everything's broken down, and you can't trust if you're gonna pay this guy if he's gonna run off with your money. Like you don't feel that here. Yeah. Here it's like, listen, it's a company. You hire someone. You feel like, hey, this is a legit business, right? So that's a very nice part of Aruba. The one downside, though, and I feel like this is just because of today's climate and the way the world's kind of headed right now with the banking problems. You try to come in as a foreigner to get a mortgage here, they are not nice to you. It's really difficult. And they even tell you up front, they're like, listen, man, it's going to be complicated as hell. They're going to scrutinize you and ask for 100 different documents. And so that part of it is not easy. And I know, okay, listen, we're just starting here. So it's always any project you do, any business you start, anything you do, all 90% of the work you do, okay, is going to be at the first 1% of your business. Like right at the beginning, it's going to be so much work, so much grinding. It's going to be, you're going to want to kill yourself at the beginning, and you're going to, like, it gets frustrating. You want to give up. Don't. You just keep pushing. So that's the kind of the stage I'm in right now with it. So people think I'm on a vacation for 2 months in Aruba, and I'm just sitting inside in the AC room, just scratching my head, trying to figure shit out. I'm not seeing the sun. So, but I try to, spend time on the beach, especially Eagle Beach. You guys have, I think, one of the world's best beaches.
Eagle's your favorite one?
You know what? Baby Beach, I think, is pretty crazy.
Okay.
It gets way too full, though.
Yeah.
But
it's like a hot spot.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But damn, it's like a lagoon. The water's crystal blue. Yeah. It's like unreal water. It's nuts. But Eagle Beach, honestly, massive sandy beach, good sand, and not that busy all the time. So you can find a good quiet spot to sit and relax. So that's definitely the beach I usually go to.
At least glad you're enjoying it.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I love this place.
That's nice.
Yeah. That's important for us.
Shadi mentioned that you're having challenges. What are the challenges from coming here to Aruba? But you also mentioned a lot of other businesses. What are the key challenges you faced during your whole journey, from like starting off with real estate at the age of in your teens?
Yeah.
To now, like, what are the key challenges, and what do you do to, like, when you face those, and how do you do to overcome those?
Okay, that's a good question. Okay, interesting question. I think, there's different challenges, and different businesses have different challenges. I think I've been through quite a roller coaster of experiences in my life, especially in the crypto space. But those are external challenges, right? Like the difficulty of having to deal with regulatory bodies and having to deal with, safety concerns when you're dealing with large sums of money, in crypto, definitely at the beginning when it wasn't very regulated and it was very unsafe.
You even told us the story that they kicked you out of the bank, right?
Oh yeah, they kicked me out. Like, listen, it's hard. It's definitely hard in the crypto space, but that's all external. I think the biggest challenge for anybody starting a business or an entrepreneur of any sort is, I think it's all internal. It's your mental strength. I don't think I'm over it yet, and I still think I struggle with it. But the main issue is whenever you're doing anything, and I think this happens to a lot of people, is they start and they fail, and immediately they assume that they're just not good enough and they can't. Listen, I've started so many businesses. I've done so many little stupid things, and throughout all those little things, I still have currently probably 10 projects, 10 companies that are running that might not be big companies. They don't really make me any money, but I still try, because the idea is every company I do and I fail at, I learn another lesson and I learn another lesson. It's tenacity, man. You got to have that tenacity to just keep going and keep going. And I think the reason why I got so far in my life is I had almost like a delusional mindset, where it was honestly a little delusional, where I thought to myself, there's nothing in the world that will stop me from getting where I want to be. And it's either I'm going to go homeless and I'm going to be on the streets starving, or I'm going to be a multimillionaire. There's no in between. I'm not settling for less. So if I have no way out and my back's against the wall, I'm pushing myself every single day. So like a good example of that is, like, right now, I have a few companies that I'm planning. I can't say it online because people will try to steal it, because they're not, not yet. Until it's successful, then I'll come and explain it. But, I've had a lot of people that come to me and ask for advice, and they say, like, well, I don't have any good ideas. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. And I tell people, listen, it's not complicated. Learn a skill. Go online, go to Wix.com, go to Shopify, start an online store. I know it sounds stupid, but get this damn lighter, find them, wholesale them, buy them in bulk, make an Instagram page. Talk about how cool it is. Today, with TikTok and all this shit, it's so easy. You make a video, you find a trending topic, you fucking try to sell us a product. Maybe you'll sell 100 of them. Maybe you'll barely make back your money on what you invested. Who cares? That's
You'll
it.
learn so much
You learn
from that,
so
yeah.
much. Yeah. The problem is everyone sits there and waits to try to see,
Perfect knowledge.
do I have someone who's going to teach me? Do I have a mentor that's going to tell me how to do it? I had no one tell me shit.
Yeah.
No one told me how to fucking work in the crypto space. No one showed me how to develop a website or edit a logo or create an entire, presentation like a document for a pitch deck. No one taught me any of this shit. All I did is I went on Google and you just figure it out. And I feel like you have to just kind of wing it, try it, fail, do it again, fail, do it again. And honestly, you keep doing that and you don't give up, you're 100% going to succeed.
Yeah, inevitable. Yeah. It's inevitable to succeed. And it's also depending on which space you're moving into. Like, for example, the crypto, which was really booming a few time ago.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit lower. What are you expecting in the crypto world right now?
Okay. So that's a very interesting thing. So
Listen up.
I've been in the space for a long time, so I've seen the cycles up and down and up and down. So just to explain how predictable the cycles are. And there's you'll always see people online, crypto's going to crash. Crypto's going to $1 million. And there's all these, views and you don't know who to listen to. Well, let me explain something. I was the first person in the world to buy a Rolls Royce with Bitcoin.
The Rolls Royce, man.
Yeah. So
not your Toyota Tercel you drive around the aisle with, the fucking Rolls Royce.
So I was 23 and I wanted it was actually I had a bet with my friends when I was younger, when I was in high school, and I was dyslexic. Well, I'm still fucking dyslexic, but still struggle with that shit. Goddamn writing is hard.
You gotta get you like a bigger paper.
Yeah. So I can visualize
the numbers. The
no, now it's fine. I used to be bad. I see them as Bitcoins now, exactly. But I never thought people didn't assume that I was going to succeed. I was very bad in school. Even though I knew I understood everything, I just couldn't do testing. Testing was really hard for me, and reading and writing was very difficult until I got into university, where I started to really push myself to fix that problem. But I knew personally deep down inside that I'm going to make it somewhere in life, but I think there was a lot of doubt around me just because, you see a kid who gets straight A's, you go, this guy's going to succeed. Yeah. That's not true, guys. Yeah. You're not doing good in school. Don't worry. You're probably going to see a lot of the guys who really make it in life are not straight A students all the time. Right. They're usually the guys who can't even pass a test. So
it's just about, like you said, finding your niche. Like keep trying. Like school is not for everybody. Yeah. Like not everybody's going to get A's.
And I kind of feel like the kids who experience failure in school more often end up being better entrepreneurs because they're used to failing. Right? The kids who get through it too easily get hit in the face when real life hits them.
This is reality.
And they can't handle it.
Hey,
right?
mommy.
So I dealt with a lot of that failure growing up and not feeling like I was good enough and adequate enough. So I think I built up a mental strength to say, fuck everybody. I know what I am worth and I know what I'm going to get. So I made this bet when I was a kid. It was a stupid joke with a couple of my close friends. And I said that by 25, or was it by 24? It was either 24 or 25. I'm going to have a Lamborghini. Now, again, every kid wants a Lambo. Yeah. So I'm 23. My 24th birthday is coming up. And I go to my friends and I tell them, hey,
remember the bet?
They remembered the bet. And I said, is it okay if it's not a Lambo? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, if I get a Rolls Royce instead, does it still count? And they're like, shit, yeah, that counts. I was like, okay, good. So I ended up buying it for my birthday. Okay. So that was pretty cool. But the explanation.
Is that a custom one? Or did you
no, that's a new one.
Okay,
that's a really crazy one.
You bought your father also one, right?
Yeah, I bought my father a Ferrari as a surprise.
Great.
But the first Rolls Royce that I bought, right? And what ended up happening is this was in 2017. So crypto was booming, right? And this is the third boom that I've seen. Okay. The real big spike that I've seen. And crypto was running up. And at the peak, I was selling a lot of volume in crypto. So what I ended up doing is I decided, you know what? I'm trying to offload a lot of crypto because I know we're at the top. And at some point, we're going to start coming down for a correction. So I was negotiating with Grand Touring, which is the Rolls Royce dealer in Canada, in Toronto, where I am. And I said, listen, I want to buy this car. And what can we do? And I negotiated and I finally got them to accept the payments. Now, I obviously arbitrated the entire conversion of them actually taking on the crypto, then selling it back to their bank to get wires. Again, it's not like they took the crypto and they held it. Yeah. But regardless, I paid with crypto. That's the whole principle, right? But what ended up happening is I bought the car and I intentionally knew exactly how many Bitcoins it cost me. And when a year later, not even a year later, actually, it was a little less than that. When crypto started to come down, I started to slowly buy back that exact amount of crypto that I had spent on it. I ended up spending less than $100,000 on the car. Technically, because I bought back those crypto for so low. Yeah. So it ended up being a sick deal. So people were like, oh, you're crazy. I'm like, I didn't spend that much on it. It's less than your Mercedes. Yeah. if you know what to do and you know when to buy and how to go in and out, you can make a lot of money. It's not easy. So I generally tell people the best advice is, listen, this shit is the future. Cryptocurrencies will be the future. Now we're in some very uncertain times, but I'm not saying take all your money and all your life savings and dump it into Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these other coins. No. Buy the two top coins, Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe another one if you really want to, but put a small amount of your money into it. If you've got $100,000 saved up, put in 10, 15,000, 20,000. It's not going to kill you, right? It's better to have your money diversified into other assets, especially gold and crypto. Because right now, with the amount of uncertainty with the US dollar and other forms of currency and fiat currency and the uncertainty of banks, you don't want to leave your money in a bank account because that bank can go under and can never pay you out. And people don't realize that. The US dollar is already inflating and already proving the principle that the money is losing value really quick. So don't just think, oh, the world's getting more expensive, everything's getting more expensive. No, the dollar is just getting destroyed. So if you keep holding that money in your bank, every day you're losing money on that. So you don't want to just sit on a bunch of money, a bunch of US dollars or Canadian dollars or fluorine. You don't want to sit on it and just hold it and think that one day you're going to have enough money, because you never will. It'll keep getting weaker and weaker and weaker. Yeah. And eventually you're going to realize, shit, I still have $1 million in my bank, but I can't buy a fucking hot dog with it. So you don't want to be put in that situation. So I recommend everybody to have some crypto. And I know on the island it's a bitch. Yeah. It's really hard to get.
Bank fucks us up.
Yeah.
But you guys have to, you got to find young guys here that are willing to push that, right? Like we were there in Canada pushing that shit. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to get regulators to accept it. It wasn't easy to get banks to accept it. And they still fucking don't. But we fight through it, right? So you need some young guys here that are willing to take on that role, to do their research and find clever ways to bring cryptocurrency into the market. And then eventually when stores and other people start accepting it, the banks are forced to accept it. Whatever the people do, the banks and the government end up being forced to do it. They're never going to do anything for your best interest, okay? They don't give two shits about you. That's the honest truth. Yeah. But if you force their hands, they eventually will comply, okay? So that's kind of my take on it. So definitely buy some crypto. I think if you want an estimate of numbers, I know because everyone wants the damn estimate. This year, 2024, we're going to have the big run-up because there's something called a halving cycle.
The what? The halving?
Halving cycle. So you guys can do research on that. I'm not going to go too detailed into it unless you want me to. You let me know. It's a long conversation. But basically, Bitcoin has something called a half-life, like a halving cycle. And what that means is every 200,000 blocks, okay, Bitcoin halves. I want to go back to the beginning and explain this simply for everyone to understand, okay? Do you guys know how Bitcoin's created?
Mining.
No.
By mining.
Okay, by mining. Okay. What does mining do? Do you know what mining does specifically?
No, I don't.
I think you have to figure out the numbers or something.
Exactly. So you're basically figuring out you're basically figuring out the computation. Google. Yeah, you're figuring out the computation of the hash, right? You're figuring out the hash. And so what's happening is whenever a miner figures it out, it's like a lottery ticket. Let's say there's a bunch of people around the world mining. The person who figures out that block, the key to that block, they get the reward. So there's a reward. So when Bitcoin first came out, right, Genesis block 1, right, that every 10 minutes a block gets solved. Okay, it's always in 10-minute cycles. The more computers there are in the world, the harder and more difficult that puzzle gets. But it always stays to 10 minutes, and this is a security function.
On average, right? Because sometimes it might get...
but it's pretty much 10 minutes every time. So what ends up happening is every 10 minutes there's that 50 Bitcoin reward going to everybody. So the first block was 50 Bitcoins, second block 50 Bitcoins, and it kept going. And every 10 minutes 50 Bitcoins was injected into the market. Well, whenever 200,000th block is up, 200,001, the Bitcoin rewards half. So it goes 25 Bitcoins. Then it goes to 12 and a half Bitcoins. And it keeps going down and down and down. Now, if you look at that halving cycle and how long it takes, it's about every 4 years. So every 4 years, there's a spike in the crypto price. So 6 months before the halving cycle hits, Bitcoin usually starts to do a rally and it starts to move up. And then that entire year where the halving happens, Bitcoin skyrockets. So you usually have a year and a half of an upwards trend. And then you have about a 3-year stable crash, and it crashes, then it kind of stays stable from there. So we're right now in the point where we're going to start getting onto that run-up cycle, right? And especially now that we have also another factor that's in play, which is the collapse of the fiat currency and the potential collapse of the US dollar. I think that's going to expedite that process and actually make it go even further than we ever thought before. So it's definitely possible to see $500,000 Bitcoin or more.
In the next how much years?
Oh, 1 year.
Oh shit.
Yeah, not that long,
Start.
guys.
I'm gonna replay this video.
Listen, I hope I'm right. And if it is, then shit, I'm gonna be very happy. But I remember buying Bitcoins when they were $12, $20.
Oh shit.
I think I didn't really buy much, but when I hit like $100, I was buying some serious volume at the time.
I read that a guy bought 2 pieces with 10,000 Bitcoins.
Two pizzas. Yeah. That was a funny bet. That was crazy, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, like
pizza.
Yeah, 2 pizzas for
but listen,
10,000 Bitcoins.
Oh, that pizza was
that's
really good.
crazy. But I've done shit like that too, man. I remember so many times giving away 100 Bitcoins and buying something or doing something, and you look back at it now and you think to yourself, "Fuck, I'm an idiot. I should have just bought and hid in a cave for 15 years and then emerged."
But I also heard about people like losing their wallets.
Yeah, people lose their wallets. I've lost. Again, back in the day, it wasn't as simple as it is now. You don't just download Coinbase or ShakePay and a simple app that has everything already done for you. At that time, you gotta like have some shitty wonky wallet, and you have to write down the private key and the public key and all that stuff yourself. And, oh my god, you screw it up, you lose it, you're done. So it was a lot scarier back then. Now it's a lot easier, so you're not as worried. But again, a good piece of advice, by the way, for anybody who is starting in the crypto space: try to keep your coins to yourself. Like, keep it in your own wallets that are offline. Don't go and open up like accounts with Coinbase, which again, they make it very convenient.
Yeah.
But you don't own your coins. You don't own your crypto, right? So like, for example,
It's like a bank.
yeah, basically. So like Coinbase is one of the largest holders of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Why? Because everyone buys their shit, puts it in their wallets, but that's not your wallet. It's like a bank. They have the asset.
They hold it for you.
Yeah. So if they go bankrupt, I don't think they will. But if they did go bankrupt, there's something were to happen, or there's run off with your money, you're kind of screwed. Whereas if you hold the crypto kind of like physical gold, and you put it in your own safe, and you put it in your own like home, there's a higher chance that you could fuck up and lose it, right? But if you're smart, it's the safest way to hold it. So that's kind of like a very quick summary of like what I think of crypto and what you should be doing.
Okay. And isn't the legislations coming out in certain countries like a threat for Bitcoin and crypto?
Listen, the government and people have been trying to stop crypto for a very long time, okay, since its inception. So crypto's not going anywhere. Bitcoin's not going anywhere, okay? The reason why is you can't fuck with Bitcoin, okay? The reason is because it's decentralized. And people often forget that decentralized means there is no point of access. There's no company. There's no individual that you can go talk to. Trust me, if the US would have came in with fucking military power and shut that shit down. If Bitcoin was created, let's say in Japan would have been bombed to fucking shits. It would have been flattened. Okay. That's just how they deal with it. Yeah. Threat into the US dollar, you're going to get annihilated. Okay. But now Bitcoin is a true threat because they can't, it doesn't exist. It's in the air. It's in the internet. So the only way for them to stop it is to fucking pull the plug on the internet. They know they can't do that. Yeah. So they have no choice. They have to let it. So they've been trying to regulate it and scare people. And, if you look at the story of FTX, I know a lot of people have heard about it. FTX, in my opinion, was pretty much a setup to take it down, right? So, Sam Bankman-Fried is a complete buffoon. No one knows where the hell that idiot came from. And he's got a bunch of ties with the SEC and all these other people. Listen, for them to be moving a bunch of money from FTX to the Democratic Party, they have all these affiliations with people in high power in the States. And even Sam Bankman-Fried's parents are regulatory lawyers. It starts to beg the question of, hey, could this have been a complete setup from the beginning? Because how the hell do you affect a market that doesn't have a centralized system? Well, put someone that looks like a nerd in the power, build the biggest crypto company in America, kick out the biggest company that was there, which was Binance. They kicked them out, brought in this guy out of nowhere, started skyrocketing, passed through all of the regulatory bullshit, passed it all, had his own goddamn arena, was changing the world of crypto. But then to all of a sudden run away with all the money and to donate a shit ton of that money to the Democratic Party starts to lead me to think, something going on there, right?
Okay.
So listen, they have their ways to fuck with it, but I don't think they have enough power to actually stop it. That's the honest truth, because it's just you can't control it. So hard to stop.
And what are like some of the like emerging trends in crypto right now that you would like to like mention or tell us about it? It's maybe not too popular.
There's not much going on right now in terms of like emerging trends. I know that when everyone went crazy with the damn NFTs, which was completely ridiculous. Right now, I think Why? I hope you guys don't own NFTs. But listen, here's the thing. Non-fungible tokens, the whole concept of that technology is amazing. The idea that you can take a contract, right? And like, for example, like you buy a product like this limited edition whiskey bottle or something, and you can actually have it certified online through an NFT, right? That certification can be recognized worldwide. Imagine if Gucci uses NFTs or the blockchain technology and you put the tags inside the shirt where you can actually and have an NFC chip and touch it, and it goes and it certifies that on a blockchain. And when you sell it to someone, that NFT will then pass on to the rightful owner, so you know who the owner of that product is. That's the beauty of that technology.
Ownership to the people, right?
Exactly. It's basically a certified contract or certification that you can pass digitally online to each other, and it can verify unanimously. And it's impossible to forge that document. The problem, though, is selling pictures of monkeys. That's a little ridiculous.
The apes.
Bored apes. But like the problem is that, to me, is the ridiculous part of it, right? And again, that's a trend. And it was the same as ICOs in 2016. People go crazy. They want to make quick money, and it's fine.
I don't think it's like a stable market.
No, NFTs are gone already. It's not really much in it right now. And it was bound to happen. I think we're going to see some cool pieces of technology. There's a lot of stuff being done in that space with blockchain and real estate as well, fractionalized real estate ownership. So that's really interesting. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. I personally have been so damn focused on the real estate shit and other parts of my business that I actually haven't been keeping up. Like I haven't gone to the last few conferences, the blockchain conferences. So I personally feel a little out of touch. From the sector right now for the last year.
But that's because you're focusing on
I'm trying to focus on exactly. So I kind of got my eyes somewhere else, but I'm sure there's some really cool shit happening out there, but I personally haven't been too caught up in it.
Okay. And what are you buying? The first thing you're buying when Bitcoin hits 500,000?
Honestly, nothing.
Nothing?
No. Listen, my rule is I don't touch my Bitcoins.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't touch
Not
it.
anymore.
Not anymore, no. Because the thing is, listen, I back when I was making money off buying and selling crypto and stuff, and that was my main source of income, or it was a big chunk of my income difference. But now, with all my companies, and I personally let my cash flow businesses pay for my expenses.
Like a long-term.
Yeah, exactly. Like you got the real estate and you got other small companies, and those things create cash flow. You use that, like the marketing agency and stuff. You use that to generate your income. And crypto, I just keep trying to pile it up a little bit at a time. Just add a little bit more. If I got a little extra sitting around, I'll buy a few more. I'll throw it in there. That's kind of the idea.
Can you go a little bit more, like you said, like in those little businesses more that you do that generate the cash flow? Like besides, we talked about real estate. What else? Like if you can give us some insight into that.
Yeah, I could do a little bit. No, I can't talk about all the businesses.
Yeah, obviously.
Some of the businesses I keep pretty private and don't share publicly. But one of the businesses, for example, that we got going on right now, which is quite an interesting one, is a service dog company.
Service dog? Okay.
Service dog. So it's a certification company. So there's not much regulation in the sense in Canada for having a service animal.
So it's kind of training them, right?
Well, it's the training as well, because my girlfriend is a dog trainer, but it's also the concept that there's no real regulatory body outside of seeing guide dogs. The rest of the service dogs, there's just non-for-profits or other companies that put their own guidelines out there, and there's no real staple for it. And they're very expensive, man. Service dogs can cost anywhere from like $40,000 to $60,000, $70,000. So it gets a little wild. So we want to create a market and a standard for that, and it's going to be a bit of a project, but it's a fun one. So we'll see if that works out. That's a new one that I was doing for the last 2-3 months, and finally have it kind of settled. So that's kind of fun project.
And here you're going, including your passion for like animals.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly.
That's nice. Okay. I also see you adopting dogs and putting like
programs So this company, I'm hoping that once we become profitable, I'm hoping to donate all the profits that the company makes to actual charity. So we have one in St. Martin right now, SXM Paws. So I'm hoping that if this company is successful and we can make it work, then we can use all the profits from that company to actually donate to dog rescues and sanctuaries. I have one other project for Animal Sanctuary opening up in Costa Rica. We're just kind of still trying to work on the land that we have that we want to acquire. There's some legal issues with the land there and the people who own it.
There's a lot of dogs in Costa Rica. Yeah.
There's a lot of dogs in Costa Rica, but that one would be more of a general sanctuary. So for all kinds of animals, lizards, wildcats that get stuck there, because sometimes illegal importation of animals, sloths. They get screwed by the power lines, and they climb it, and they get shocked, and you got to help them, or they won't be able to be rehabilitated. So I love all animals. So there, I really want to focus on the sanctuary, and in the islands, I definitely want to help, because like in St. Martin right now, they're going to be doing a full neutering around and trying to get all the dogs and spay and neuter them. I know that they've done that here as well. So that kind of stuff I really care for, and I really want to put my energy to that right now.
Nice. It's more like your passion.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely more of a passion.
And like your other projects, I'm going back to the crypto.
Yeah, go. Don't worry.
Do you try to link the companies you have and like incorporate blockchain features into them to make it?
Okay, so
try to like keep it like really
honestly,
separate?
no, and I'll explain why. A lot of companies and a lot of it's funny, you'll see it a lot in Canada too, where a lot of companies that don't need crypto or don't need blockchain, don't have to do anything with it, will be like, oh, we're gonna make our system on the blockchain. Not necessary, you guys. Like that. I feel like people just try to use it as like a catchword to get investors. It's stupid. I feel like you should only use the blockchain if it's truly needed and it's truly valuable to you, right? A lot of companies, you really don't need it. So most of my stuff, no. Do I incorporate accepting cryptocurrencies as payments and stuff? For sure, that's super easy, so I do. But no, not having the blockchain is only if you have large data pools and you need stuff to be super secure. And most of the time, you don't, honestly.
And you think that Aruba will benefit from blockchain?
Every country would. Every country would. In terms of like what companies would need to integrate blockchain in Aruba, I'm not sure. I would have to look at that. I think blockchain should be implemented in government, and that way you take out the questioning of it. Like, for example, one of the projects that I've been meaning to do, and I think I will do in the future, is creating a charity standard for having donations for all charities go through the blockchain. For example, whenever the profits of our companies come through, if you have all of the funds and everything go through the blockchain, you can actually verify where it's coming from. I'll give you an example. A company used to do organic fruits, and what they do is they put a little QR code on the fruits as a sticker, and when you scan that fruit, you can actually tell where it's been, what farm it came from, what process it went through to get there, so you can see all the steps and know exactly where your fruit came from. So for example, if you do that with payments, a lot of the issues with charities around the world these days is, you go donate to, let's say, what was that animal charity that I hate? PETA. Everyone fucking hates PETA. Okay, so PETA's honestly a bullshit, liberal, leftist, extremist bullshit. So what ends up happening is, I went intense there. What ends up happening there is, someone goes online, oh my God, I love dogs, let me donate to PETA. They donate $1,000. You have no idea where the hell that money's going. It's going to somebody's pocket, some executive or some secretary that's getting $150,000 to write hateful emails and blog posts, like, who you're not helping any animals. So that's the thing. And the problem is the website's supposed to show you where the money's spent and distributed. Half the time that's not accurate. So what I would love to do is create a standard where you can go to charities and say, hey, listen, you can put all your finances and all your donations through our system. And that way you can publicly have that information available to everyone. So they go on our website, they can check which charity's with us and where all that money for that charity ends up going and where that money gets distributed from A to Z. That way you're basically creating a transparency to the operation. And that's why I feel like governments should be using those systems. Because imagine if the citizens can actually go and check and verify 100% where all the
taxes are
they'll
going.
never fucking do it.
They'll never do it.
Fuck that shit. They want the money to their pockets. But if there's a way to verify everything without any corruption or influence by people, right? That's what blockchain is so good at, is that it's just basically a bunch of rules on a ledger, and you gotta follow those rules. Those rules are immutable. They can't be changed by a person. It's a community. All that information is spread around to everybody on the internet. Everybody who's running that, let's say Bitcoin or whatever, everyone in the computers have that. So you can't, unless you can convince 50% or more of the population in the world to do something altogether, you really can't do shit, which is what makes crypto so beautiful.
Okay. And I had a question. Like you said, companies accepting crypto. What is like the best option to accept the crypto and like change it in like a stable thing, or just Because maybe
Well, I mean, listen, that's a individualized question, right? Because it depends on the person, right? If I had a store here, let's say I'm the brewery, right? I would say, listen, I would put a sign up, I would open up a wallet, and I'll say I accept cryptocurrencies. Done. And you accept those sales. If you get $1,000 in Bitcoin, $10,000 in Bitcoin, and as a company you say, don't really need that money, hold it. Have it in your portfolio. Who cares? If you turn around and you tell yourself, shit, we accepted 150,000 in crypto this week, and that's too much exposure for us. Yeah, convert it into stable coin or sell it and put it. You can sell it to companies and actually have it put back as a wire into your bank account. So there's ways around it. So you can always arbitrage and sell that back and forth. Like you don't have to hold it necessarily, but it is good. And I think companies in Aruba should start accepting it. And it's honestly not that complicated. You open up a wallet, you put the sticker on your window and say, I accept Bitcoin. And you might get tourists that come and have it. And honestly, one thing for companies to note is that people like me, and there's quite a bit of us now because crypto's been growing so much. If I see a restaurant, I remember I don't remember what country I was in, but my parents were like, hey, this place takes Bitcoin. Guess where we went?
You're intrigued to go to the...
I went there just so I could pay with Bitcoin. Even though it's more expensive for me to pay in Bitcoin, I don't want to. But to me, it's like, I like doing it. I like supporting them.
You're like motivating that market.
And there's a lot of wealthy people that will come and say, oh shit, Bitcoin, I'll buy from you. Right? Why not? It's not going to hurt you. It costs you nothing. It's just a little sticker you put up there and it takes you 2 seconds. So I think it's definitely a good thing for people to start accepting here.
Nice. So from talking to you on Wednesday and today up until now, you seem like a very, very interesting guy, smart guy. And
Thank you.
I actually wanted to know, like, what is your source of information? Where do you get all the information, all the in the field, and also from the advancements happening around all of the businesses?
The world, basically, because we've heard, you told us and Dennis told us, so you told them last year that you kind of like said like the dollar's gonna go to shit.
Yeah, you predict
You predict these things.
But how do you like? What's your source? What's your?
I don't know about a source. TikTok right now is pretty damn good, but no. Listen, guys, the problem is there's no source, right? There's no like one source where you go listen to one person and you're gonna get all the information. It's just keeping your ears open, watching everything you can, and I think the main thing that people have to understand is you got to have a sharp mind. In a sense where a lot of people just listen to news, and if someone says it, they're like, "Oh, that must be right." Oh, hell no! I'm a very skeptical person. I don't believe shit. Okay, I don't believe anything. I want to figure it out on my own. I have to check multiple sources, and the main thing that I think has changed my mindset was getting into crypto so early at a young age. And what I ended up doing is that I realized, holy shit, when I learned about Bitcoin and how it changes the way we deal with money and finances. Then I started to look at our banking system and our current fiat system, and I started to tell myself, like, oh, this is a scam. Right? This is a straight scam. Like, this doesn't need to be this way. So once you start realizing that system is not built in your favor, then you start having that skeptical viewpoint of, okay, what else is not in our favor? What else is being done against us? And what other lies are we being told and taught? So once you start unraveling that kind of mindset,
you go in that rabbit hole.
You start to realize, holy shit, we're not in a nice lovey-dovey world where everyone's trying to look out for each other. You're definitely not. So I think people are coming to the realization now a lot more than anything because the world is kind of unraveling as we see it. We've had a very beautiful 80 years after World War II. Pretty much, we've had a great easy run, especially in North America. Yeah, it's been good times in North America, especially in North America. But now shit's starting to really unravel, and we're starting to we're starting to see what exactly is going on. So I personally think that the real level of corruption, especially for our modern monetary system, started when the Federal Reserve was created. Yeah. So, and I think that was around like 1913 or 1912. 1913 or 1912. It happened in Jekyll's Island. So when a bunch of very wealthy elitist people met up on Jekyll's Island and decided to create what's known today as the Federal Reserve. So if you guys want to learn more about that, I would highly recommend reading the book, The Creation of the Jekyll's Island. I think that's what it was called. It's a good book, and it talks about how that all happened. But basically, after that point and the Federal Reserve was made, we've kind of got into a very weird point in how we deal with money, right? If we look at how even the U.S. dollar became the dominant dollar around the world, it was after World War II. Yeah. So after World War II, there was about 44 countries that met up in New Hampshire, if I'm correct, and they actually developed what's called the Bretton Woods system, Bretton Woods system, and that was basically where they decided to make the U.S. dollar the standard currency internationally. And the only reason why this ended up happening actually is because U.S. at the time, like after World War II, the rest of the world was kind of really screwed up, and they were all in shambles after the war. And the U.S. was a kind of a safe haven. A lot of countries were putting their gold reserves and stuff in the U.S. as well for safekeeping. So U.S. had kind of like the upper hand in that situation, and they decided to create the Bretton Woods system and create the monetary policy from then on. And they became basically the international currency. But at that point, the U.S. promised the world and promised those other countries that the U.S. would stay on what's called the gold standard. And they pegged gold to, I believe, to $35 an ounce at the time. And they said that this was backed by gold. So every dollar bill, every note that was made on the US dollar used to say backed by gold, and it was a redeemable note. So that note literally said that you could redeem it for gold. So if you went to the US bank and treasury and you say, listen, here's a dollar, they were supposed to give you an equivalent back in gold.
That equivalent, that amount isn't supposed to change, right?
Well, I'm not exactly sure if that month was contractually was supposed to change or not. I'm not entirely sure. That'd be an interesting question to see. But basically that system was designed and built, and it was great, and everything was fine for quite a while. So it was several years, actually almost 10 years or plus, where everything was completely good. Economy was boosting. Everything was great. But shit started really hitting the fan when I believe it was. Well, there's a lot of history to remember on the spot. I think it was when. Hold on.
Cold War.
Nixon. Yes, it was actually before the Cold War. I think.
Vietnam War.
I don't want to mess up the dates. The dates are important. Hold on. Let me check here. Let me see. You're right. It was the Cold War. It was the Cold War and the Vietnam War that started all this. Is when the U.S. actually was having to fund the wars, and they were getting into debt. So what ended up happening is the U.S. was printing out money, and they weren't even printing out money yet. They were basically using debt for the war, and they were in like $24 billion worth of debt, even though they only had $11 billion worth of gold reserves. Yeah. And at that time, other countries are starting to realize that they were in debt and said, oh, fuck this, we want our gold back because we know you can't cover that shit. So I remember, I think from what I read was England and France were coming down to the U.S. and trying to pull out gold. And France actually sent out a ship to New York that most people don't know about, a warship, demanding gold. And that's when Nixon, a few days later, President Nixon went on TV and said that the U.S. will no longer be pegged to gold, and the U.S. dollar for the safety of the people or national interest or some kind of bullshit scam, we're no longer going to back it. So basically all they said was, fuck you other countries. You can't redeem our gold anymore. U.S. dollar we don't have to pay you back the gold. That kind of shifted a lot.
Okay.
And that ended up causing, I would say, a shitstorm, because the U.S. basically now got to print as much money as they wanted to fund any kind of wars or any kind of problems. But the issue you end up having now is whenever you have a country that everybody's holding their currency and they're printing a shit ton of it and they're not backing it by anything, people lose faith. And actually the US dollar was starting to crash a little bit, and it was starting to lose its value. What ends up happening though is, the US actually ends up sending their Treasury Secretary, I think it was Simon something. Fuck, I forgot his name. They sent him to Saudi Arabia to negotiate a deal, because at this time, just before this happened, the U.S. got into a war defending Israel against it might have been Iraq or other Arabic nations, and it was called the Yom Kippur Wars. Okay. And what ended up happening is, because the U.S. got involved, those OPEC giants, those Arab nations that ran the OPEC oil companies, decided to say a big fuck you to the U.S. and actually put embargoes on the U.S. And basically rose the price of oil 4 times. And the U.S. was kind of in a very shitty position because they were about to get screwed. The U.S. runs on oil, and they need oil to survive. And they were putting a huge problem on the U.S. economy at the time. So at that point, they sent out the Treasury Secretary to Saudi Arabia to negotiate a deal with Saudi Arabia. This was a huge turning point for them. Basically, they negotiated with Saudi Arabia and said, we will give you military defense and protect your country as long as you trade oil in US dollars. The second this happened, the petrodollar was born. Right, so once a petrodollar was born, and it wasn't that deal wasn't just that they would trade oil in US dollars, but it actually also was that they would buy back US debts with the profits from those US dollars. So it was a great deal for the US, and US was on a up and up from there.
Again.
So, but the issue is that if you actually pay attention historically, what ends up happening is if you look, there was a lot of times in history, in recent history, where people actually opposed the US dollar as the petrodollar. Okay? And this is where I talk about that rabbit hole, where you start to open up your eyes and start to realize, oh shit, what they've been telling us isn't exactly true. I like to follow money. I like to follow money and power, and that tells me the truth.
I think there's a book, right? Follow the Money.
I haven't read it, but I've heard that there's a book like that. The problem is, it's very true. You got to follow the money because everything in this world revolves around fucking money and power. Okay, so when you start looking at the money, you think to yourself, okay, what does the U.S. care most about? Their people, their crops and agriculture? No, they care about that damn petrodollar. That dollar is what's keeping them the top country in the world. So what ends up happening is, there was a few countries that ended up actually having issues with the U.S. dollar, and Iraq was one of those countries. Okay, I know that Iraq had some issues with Qatar, and they invaded Qatar, and the U.S. came in and stepped in 1990s, from what I remember. But also, what ended up happening was afterwards when was the date? When did the Iraq war start? It was like 2000. I think it was in the 2000s. Yeah, it was 2000.
Yeah. Before 9/11, right?
I think it was in 2000s. Iraq's leader at the time, which was Saddam Hussein, he decided that screw the U.S., which I agree with him. Screw the U.S., and he's going to basically go and start selling oil with euros instead of the U.S. dollar. I think 5-6 months later, he sold $26 billion worth of oil in euros, and a few months after that, the U.S. invaded Iraq. Yeah. Okay.
I wonder why.
They completely annihilated that damn country. Now, after Iraq, also then you had Venezuela. Venezuela, I think, was in 2002.
Okay.
You had Chavez. Chavez, again, same thing. Decided to do the same mistake that Iraq did. They decided to sell in euros. What happened to Venezuela? They didn't invade, but they did a coup, right? And they basically sent in their own CIA and bullshit into the country to destabilize the country, and they did, and it worked, and Venezuela got screwed. Venezuela has the most oil reserves in the world.
Yeah. It was one of the most promising countries.
Yeah, they should be the richest country in the world right now.
At one point in time.
Not only in oil, but other stuff, where resources.
100%. So, okay, we go from Venezuela, and then we move on. Where do we get to? Well, I think it's 2009, we get to Libya. Okay? Yeah. Fucking Gaddafi. Gaddafi, honestly, one of the greatest presidents in Africa, I would say. The man was... they labeled him as a dictator and all that. That guy made his country so wealthy. Libya has the biggest oil reserves in Africa. But what ends up happening is Gaddafi turns that country around. Free healthcare, free water, free education, roads are pristine. If you wanted to travel outside and learn outside, outside the country, they would fund your education outside the country. If every time you got married, I think they would give $5,000. Like, there was so much stuff that they would do for the people. The people were living an incredible life there. So there was no issues in Libya, except the fact that Gaddafi had enough of the U.S. and enough of the bullshit. Because again, the U.S. is printing money. You're holding their dollar. This guy's not an idiot. He realizes his country is paying for shit that they're getting for free. And enough is enough. You get pissed off.
Basically for free, because they're printing it.
Well, the U.S. spends $1 trillion. They just print $1 trillion more. And someone else has to deal with that bullshit, right?
And their own debt also got...
Exactly, and they don't care. So, and all the debt that the U.S. has, it's to themselves because it's in their own currency. Yeah. But as Africa has a debt, they got to pay it back to the U.S. They had to work for that shit. It was the same reason why Russia got screwed in the Cold War. It's because Russia, every time they wanted oil, they'd have to fucking dig it out of the goddamn ground. The U.S. would just print more money and buy it.
Yeah,
it's unfair. So basically what ends up happening with Libya is Libya, a great fucking country, ends up getting destroyed. And it's a coup. And supposedly the militia in Libya, bullshit, it's all planned by the U.S., gets taken down with the assistance of U.S. drones, and they murder Gaddafi, right? Greatest fucking president for Libya, or leader for Libya. He wasn't a president. Leader for Libya, gone, and Libya's in shambles now. The U.S. has progressively destroyed anybody who's opposed that petrodollar standard, right? Until today. Until right now.
Now we see it with the Brits, right?
Because the problem is Russia decided to oppose them. Russia and China have been planning this for a while. They've been buying up a lot of gold reserves.
There's one rule in this world: you don't fuck with Russians.
Yeah. Listen, the Russians are an interesting character. Okay, the only people that could beat Russians is themselves. Okay, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Russians have always lost because they just don't stop until they're dead. Okay, good for them, and that's the heart, right? So. But the thing with Russia is Russia was too big for them to just come in there and stop them. And China's backing them. And these guys have been planning this the whole time. And U.S. has been losing that kind of military, strength. Yes, they got the biggest military in the world. They got the biggest military, budget in the world. But listen, if U.S. is going up against one or two countries, small countries, yeah, they're getting annihilated. But when you talk about Russia and China, that becomes a fair fight.
It's a heavyweight. Joining
exactly
India, Brazil.
Because listen, in the world for the last 80 years at least, the bully of the world has been the U.S. Okay, they did whatever the fuck they wanted and got whatever the fuck they wanted. Well, guess what? The second you see that bully bleed, and the second people start to realize they're not going to be able to intimidate you anymore, people rally up, right? Yeah. And so right now, Russia, even though I don't agree with everything Putin does, he's a pretty fucking evil person. That's not the point, is that he's defending his country right now, and the U.S. has been the bullied and has been pushing towards Russia, right? NATO is not a good thing. The people think NATO, they're protecting. NATO's a very evil criminal organization in my eyes. So NATO's been pushing eastwards towards Russia even though they weren't supposed to move 1 inch east after World War II. They've been pushing and pushing and pushing. So they've been breaking their treaty, and now they're blaming Russia for being the aggressors. Listen, very, very bullshit. But again, the U.S. is trying to put their strong arm. NATO's trying to dominate because they feel that they're slowly slipping away. Economically, they're losing their power, and also population-wise, they're losing their power. So this is a war that was bound to happen. And the only thing is, I think U.S. was a little arrogant and cocky and didn't realize that Russia and China would be able to put up a fight, and that they would create and formulate the BRICS nations, which now is coming together and is going to put a really
I saw a few news about them like stopping wars,
stepping away from agreements.
The U.S.
No, the BRICS. The U.S. U.S. loves wars. The U.S. lives off
with
wars.
The pressure the BRIC is putting. I mean, I think like we don't realize that stuff's gonna get ugly, and it's gonna affect.
And even here on the
us,
island, that like you're so into the island bubble, you don't
realize
what's going on.
It's gonna get bad. It's gonna get really bad. It's gonna get really rough in the next few years. People have to kind of get ready for that. And it's kind of sad. I don't like saying it, but it's honestly the truth. You might see a lot of bank collapses, which is already happening now. You're gonna see countries that might have been first world, aka U.S. and Canada, might not stay that way. As you listen, the shit that I'm seeing in the U.S. happening right now is insane, and a lot of people are not seeing it because they're not reporting that much on it. San Francisco is shutting down all their fucking stores. Walmarts are closing, Whole Foods are closing, all these mega stores are closing. Do you know why? Because it's just a theft pool. Like, the stores are open and it's just criminals coming in and out stealing. And I don't even think they're criminals, because there's so much inflation, hyperinflation, and there's no jobs, and the government, the Biden administration is doing absolutely nothing to fucking help the citizens,
they just want to survive,
They're sending all their money to Ukraine, which is not going to help the Ukrainian people. It's going to fund their fucking war, and they're making money off of that war. So what ends up happening is their citizens are suffering. People are fed up with the fucking bullshit. They can't afford rent. They can't afford food. So they're going to go steal. These corporations are sick of it because they can't run a damn business. And people are just going in. You got to see videos. People are just walking with shopping carts, putting shit in, walking out.
Yeah, and the employees are just watching.
You can't do anything. And they're decriminalizing that shit. So it's getting worse and worse. So
they killed the Cash App guy in San Francisco.
Exactly. Recently. It's not safe anymore in the States. Honestly, the States is one of the most scariest places to visit. I'm terrified going there.
Especially the West.
And exactly. And the issue is it's funny to see is that in the world, like you guys, I don't know you guys, but like if you go to other countries, a lot of people go, oh my God, I can't wait to visit LA, like Hollywood Boulevard. Hollywood Boulevard is full of homeless people.
Yes. I've been there recently. It was scary.
And it's because it takes around 50 years for mindsets to shift. Okay, so Paris, for example, everyone talks, oh, Paris is beautiful. it's kind of fucked up right now.
There's a protest. There's
a
really
huge
big protest
protest.
about
The streets are rampant with garbage and rats. Like shit's not nice right now. But you know, we watch movies, we hear stories. That takes 50 years to progress. So you know what's going to be the most beautiful cities in the world in 50 from that people are going to talk about? Dubai, Saudi Arabia. These are the emerging places that are going to be 50 years from now looked at as, wow, these are the main meccas and the main areas of the world where people come to and want to go visit.
You can really
the rest
see
of it's
it.
going to be the slums.
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of sad to think about. So the main issue is right now is that, listen, in San Francisco, for example, there's like a 40% of the rental offices and spaces, like the commercial buildings, are empty. Okay. Places are emptying out and running away. So that's going to drop prices.
Okay. But how does the real estate do now in the US?
It's coming down, man, hard. And you know what? They're trying to, and you got to remember something. People look at coming down as, oh, it's still, this house is still worth $700,000. You know, it hasn't really gone down that much. It was only 800, 900,000. It's only gone down a little bit. Yeah, but there's inflation too, guys.
Yeah.
Shit's your fucking eggs are costing 10 times more. But this house has gone down in value. That house has crashed.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're not taking into consideration that the dollar's, also playing a part in it.
Yeah.
So real estate is right now in the US and Canada is no longer, I think, a safe haven to put your investments in, because I think shit's going to go down, and there's record numbers of people leaving Canada and the US. A lot of wealthy people that can get passports in other places and get residency in other places are leaving. Why? No one wants to be in crime-ridden countries, okay? Those places have no more safety to offer, and as an affluent person in those countries, you're worried about your house getting robbed, or you getting pulled over and getting shot in the head for something. Listen, in Canada, which is generally safer than the States, I'm invested in one of these companies in Canada, and the CFO of that company, nicest guy. I've gone golfing with him all the time. One of my friends work for that company too. And the CFO is just, an accountant. He's a nerdy, nice guy, very, very kind-hearted person. He's with his wife, and the wife's sister's in the back of the car. They're driving on the highway. The guy accidentally pulls in front of another car, I guess, trying to exit, maybe cut him off a little bit. But not a big fucking deal. Everyone does it all the time. Pulls off on the road, goes to a red light. This car behind him follows him, and he doesn't notice it, but follows him and takes out a gun and shoots at the car in the back windows. You're in fucking Canada. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like, these are just, it's not like you're in a bad neighborhood in the wrong spot doing the wrong thing. No, man. Just being in Canada or being in the States, it's starting to get fucking very scary. So theft rates of cars have gone through the roof. You got to put fucking bolts. Like, I don't want to live in a country where I got to worry all the time. So honestly, I'm slowly starting to think, shit, maybe I should go to the Middle East. I never thought I would say that, but go back to the Middle East. My parents were from the Middle East. They ran away, came to Canada. Now I'm going to run away from Canada, go back to the fucking Middle East. It's kind of ridiculous.
Go back to the homeland. Yeah,
man, it's kind of scary, but it's kind of what's happening. So can't change it.
And how do you see that? I mean, Aruba is depends on tourism and like a big percent. I think 70% of the tourism is from the US.
Yeah,
and now
I think it's more than that.
Yeah,
they stated 70.
Yeah, but now it's going to be like a big shift. You're saying from the US to other countries.
I don't think so. I think your tourism will stay the same here, and I'll tell you why. There's still going to be wealthy people in the States. Not everyone's going to move away. It's not going to be that extreme, but the wealthy individuals, and if an economy buckles and there's hard times and recessions hit, because listen, everything bounces back eventually, but if a recession hits, wealthy people are going to still vacation. Yeah. It might get a little tougher. Yeah, like it might get a little, you might not splurge as much, but you're still going to go on your vacations. You're still going to enjoy your life. Unfortunately, it's the people who are, barely passing, like being able to pay their bills now that are going to suffer really bad. It's the people who have lower middle class, even like middle class are going to probably suffer a little bit. So you got to be kind of making right now, if in Canada, for example, if you're not making individually $200,000, you don't have that much extra money to spend. Like I know of my friends that are young people, that like young guys, like around their early, like late 20s, early 30s, not that young, but they're making $150,000 a year after taxes, after everything. You can't afford shit. You can't afford to buy a house. People in their 30s that have good jobs, that are accountants, that are lawyers, that have amazing jobs, they're still living with their parents.
Yeah.
Because you can't fucking do shit. You can't buy a house because every house is worth over a fucking $1 million. By the time you try to apply for a mortgage, you'll be destroyed.
Yeah.
Your car is expensive. Your food's expensive. Transportation's expensive. What are you supposed to do? Hibernate and not fucking eat for
And your
10
food
years?
is trash.
Yeah.
Canada's good. The US is trash.
Yeah.
Canada has really good food. I would say actually Canada has equivalent food like quality to here, if not more options than here. But it's definitely it's getting rough out there, and I know you guys are feeling it on the island too. I've been talking to a lot of people here.
Yeah.
So what's your input? I want to hear your
like
input
what
on
you said.
how you feel on that.
Like in the U.S. and Canada, there's like a lot of empty commercial spaces.
Yeah.
We feel that here too.
Yeah.
And I mean, people may not notice it, but like if we miss like the volume of U.S. tourists we get in, because we get a lot of visitors from Europe and South America too.
Yeah.
But they don't spend as much money here as
the
we're
US?
used to. Yeah. So
You're saying the amount of money people are spending here is going down?
yeah.
Really?
I think I've started to notice it. I run like a small business too with the
Okay.
shirts, and like you see people are like hesitant to like spend that money, because I mean everybody's going through hard times right now. I think
100%,
we're like at that start,
And everybody's like predicting it going like
Yeah.
worse as well.
Well, it's
like
not-
without even predicting.
It's
it.
not
Like, they don't
predicting.
know
It
but-
is worse.
but
It's not
that's
predicting.
happening.
It is
Yeah.
worse, man. Guys, like you gotta understand. When you go to a fucking grocery store and get one bag and spend $100 US, that's not
equivalent
fucking
to here.
okay.
Like we go to like the local Chinese store
Yeah.
in front of your house,
Yeah,
and you're
supermarket.
spending like for buying tree stuff like 40 guilders,
Yeah.
40
Yeah.
florins,
And the
Like,
same amount
that's
of
a lot.
the same amount of money you got like less
Less
groceries,
stuff, yeah.
less
Oh,
less
that's
stuff.
fucking. That's what happens when you print money. So that's why you have to buy crypto. That's why you have to buy gold and other assets that don't get affected as much by that, right?
Right.
That's why you have to kind of diversify to protect yourself against that bullshit.
But does crypto has inflation?
No, because so crypto is only 21 million bitcoins will ever be made, and not every crypto is designed that way. So some cryptos have a ridiculous amount of basically supply in the market, and some that they can print as much as they want. But for example, in Bitcoin specifically, there's 21 million that'll ever be created, and we're at around like 19 million created.
So
and
you know also how many of the halves.
So okay, so the last Bitcoin will be mined in the year 2140.
Okay.
Okay, I think I'm
shit,
right.
That's a long.
Double check
yeah.
that, but I think it's 2140. It's a long time, and it's because half-life, right? So it's going to keep going down and down and
Yeah.
down. So it's going to less and less and less. It's going to take a really long time to get there, but we're pretty much almost there. 19 million, let's say, in circulation, roughly. Again, you could double check those numbers. I would estimate at least 2 million of that to be gone, lost and stolen, or like not in circulation, not stolen, gone in circulation. And you got to understand that probably 5 to 6 million of that is in a few people's hands.
Yeah.
So you don't have that much circulating and available for everyone. So that amount is finite, right? So the only two things that I'm certain about is the amount of Bitcoins in circulation and that I'm going to die one day. Those are the two things I feel very confident about in life, okay? That cannot change and will happen, right? That's it. So that's what makes Bitcoin very valuable, is that there is no more that can be made. So if you own one Bitcoin, that's pretty hefty, man. Like you're gonna be sitting on a really expensive asset in the future. Whereas every other form of asset, houses can be built, gold can be mined, right? So in Bitcoin, no, you can't.
Yeah,
it's what it is.
The scarcity. I think that's also what keeps the value, right?
100%.
That's
what.
You need some ice?
No, I'm okay.
You good?
That's
How
what
you
makes
like
the value.
the Scotch
It's really
part?
good.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's like it's 15 years, so it's
it's
a
really
teenager. It's real good for you. What I was saying is with like the inflation and stuff, what we're seeing is like, I mean, the government has a part to do with it too. That's making it expensive for us. Like you mentioned earlier, like eggs and stuff.
Yeah.
Mostly of it is imported.
Yes. Oh, you guys have imported.
Most
mostly
of our
exported.
stuff is imported, and we
Everything
have
is
like
imported,
we
yeah.
have like a big tax on that to start off with. So then like the importer has to make money on it. So everything's getting more expensive because the government keeps introducing new types of taxes.
Canada's the same.
That affects
Bullshit.
that affects us, the buyer.
Yeah.
And I mean, do you think there's like a solution, like they can imply like one type of tax and then make like, let's say, the import tax less, or eliminate that at all and make it so that if I import something, like it can be cheaper for me? Because it used to be like that, but with the adding tax that the government keeps enforcing on us, it's not that cheap.
Listen, I don't know Aruba's politics and the financials of Aruba. Like I would have to look into it.
That, yeah.
But
Are you going to go into it?
No,
you're investing here. Yeah,
investing on
I'm going to find the way that Aruba allows us to create corporations and foundations and minimize our tax implications here. I will pay my taxes in Aruba, and I don't have an opposition to that, but I will obviously find the most efficient way to do that.
For your company, yeah.
Exactly, so that we can leave profits and make the company profitable, obviously, while bringing new investments into the island. But the idea is that I don't necessarily agree with taxes, and for one reason only, okay? A lot of people think, oh, you don't like paying taxes, you're trying to cheat the system. No. I think it's nice to help people. I think it's nice to have roads and a safe community and pay for police and firefighters. And I agree with all that. The problem is corruption. People suck. Okay? Yeah. People really fucking suck. So when you give someone the ability to manage money that's not theirs, they're going to fuck with it. And especially if you're just an employee and you're going to make your shitty salary and you have authority over something, guess what? You're going to find a loophole to make yourself rich. Okay? For example, in Canada, they introduced these stupid fucking bikes. Okay, like you guys have the fun little electric bikes here. Okay, the bird stuff, which I love. Way too expensive. But what ends up happening is in Canada, they passed this bill, or they passed this policy to have these bikes made, and they were going to use taxpayers' money to have these paid stations where you could pay to have a bike like you basically get it from the rack and you get to ride it around. You pay a couple of dollars and you put it back. Their idea of that was, we want to provide this service for Toronto citizens because people can't afford bikes. And there's people who can't afford bikes and they need to get to work, and we need to provide the service. I agree. 100%. That's amazing. But if you look into it a little deeper, the person who pushed that policy somehow has a backdoor investment into the company that they gave to make the bikes. Yeah. Someone did a deep dive investigation into it, and they found that the amount of money it cost, because each of these bikes were so fucking expensive for no reason, and it was taxpayers paying for it. They found out that if you took all that money that it cost them to make that program and to put those bikes out, you could have bought every single citizen in Toronto a bike.
Yeah.
Whoa. A free bike.
It's a scam, because at the end of the day, it's that. That's why I think blockchain and governments matter, because it's hard to go around that. That blockchain is immutable. You can't change it. You can't fake it. It's visible to everybody.
And everybody can see the transaction, right? Where it's going.
Exactly. Okay. The problem with governments right now is, listen, everyone wants to work the system in their favor. It's human nature. If you don't think it's happening, you're a fucking idiot. Okay. If I bet right now with you and some stranger, and we said, okay, play ball, and the winner gets $1,000, are you gonna play dirty?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, you won $1,000. You're obviously whatever. Your boy's gonna come from the back and throw something on the floor. Like, everyone fucking does that. That's just normal, right? Because you want that money. You don't care about the person.
I've heard on the Joe Rogan podcast, they said like, all power corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yes.
So, and that's what happens with every government in the world, I think.
Exactly, 100%. And that's why it's funny that people hate dictatorships sometimes, but look at Saudi Arabia. They have the prince right now, the prince of Saudi Arabia. That guy is propelling Saudi Arabia so fucking fast, because it's kind of like a two-way, double-edged sword, right? The reason why is that if you have a shitty dictator, there's no policies or systems in place, the checks and balances to prevent someone from doing something really bad. So you get really fucked up dictatorship like Kim Jong-un, who fucking, completely fucks humanity. It's fucked. But on this other hand, when you have a dictator and he doesn't have to go through the checks and balances and doesn't have to go through the bureaucracy and the corruption of corporations paying for stuff and trying to get their ways, and every single person trying to be greedy, and you got one guy who says, I got all the money in the world, I don't need any more money. I'm going to do the best for my fucking country. I'm going to propel this country forward, and I'm going to do everything in our power to make Saudi Arabia the #1 country in the world. Fuck, that works.
That kind of happened with Gaddafi too, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And with Trump. Yeah. Okay. Right? Because these were men and people in power that said, I don't need more power. I have everything I want. I don't need to screw my own people over. I don't need anything else. All I care about is propelling the country forward and helping the people. That's a very rare thing to find, though. So in a way, democracy is good, but in another way, democracy and having the government that way, it kind of also fucks it up.
But I saw a recent post of you too that you explained what the purpose of democracy was. And it in short, it explained like democracy is good, it's needed, but it has to be controlled in some way that like not everybody can vote. And when I saw that video, I connected it with like the local system we have, and what we have is a bunch of old people
Yeah.
that just vote on loyalty.
Yeah.
Just because I've been my whole life
Yeah.
for this political party, I'm gonna keep continue
So-
voting for them.
That's a group, but you have like not only old people, you have uneducated people.
Uneducated.
Well, that's the thing
And
is there's
that's
a difference
what-
between
it's split,
intellectual
yeah.
democracy and what we call demagoguery, which is an interesting word. It basically is one of the things that Plato actually feared the most that would one day cause a problem about
And it's
democracy.
happening right now,
It's-
right?
it's-
Yeah.
It's because what'll happen is people in power will manipulate people's emotions and use people's emotions to
stay in power.
stay in power and to promise them shit that they want to hear to get them to vote, but not actually do things that,
If
that
you
people
want like a short explanation what's happened for the longest time here, quick commercial break. Levon just grabbed his cigar.
Oh, yeah,
he didn't
yeah,
want to
yeah,
do
yeah.
it, so he's doing it right now.
Keep
So
going, keep going, though.
The conversation got
Yeah, it's good combo.
So what they did is like for the longest time, like you could be like a nobody, but like let's say I know Darren, and Darren
Yeah.
gets on a political party and he's like, yo, vote for me, get your whole family to vote for me, and I'll grant you a job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I could have no education, no nothing, but just because I'm friends with Darwin, he would grant me a type
No
of job.
background in the field.
Yeah, and I would get paid a lot of money to do nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. What's been happening for
Here?
the longest time here.
It's still happening.
And they try to clean it up, but it's so deeply rooted.
Oh
that
yeah,
it's,
you can't.
It's
Listen,
hard
same
to
thing
clean
in
it
Canada.
up.
Same thing in Canada. Trudeau fucking hired all his entire wedding party is literally in the government now. Like it's a joke. Like, you see the picture of his bachelor
Everybody-
party.
Same guy.
Everyone's in the fucking.
I mean,
somehow.
you can retract it too. Like you would see those people in power in family pictures with the people in power right
Same as Rothschilds and the Rockefeller families and all those guys that have kept power for.
now. I know
a very long
you.
time.
You've ever smoked a cigar before?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
I do.
so you know not to inhale.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
no,
main rule. We follow on the
No,
HUMA
no, yeah,
podcast.
you'll
Like
die.
don't inhale that shit. Yeah.
No, it's actually very smooth.
Okay, yeah,
What is
I
it?
told you it's from the AJ Fernandez farm,
Okay.
which is like one of the primary cigar factories in the world right now. AJ Fernandez. It's located in Nicaragua. So this is basically a blank brand from them.
I like it.
Yeah,
Good.
enjoy it, man.
Yeah, shit. But yeah, man, guys, that's some crazy shit. And again, like there's a lot of stuff happening. I don't know how long we can talk on this podcast, but
We have some time.
okay, good. But there's a lot of crazy shit happening right now in the world, and it's kind of sad to see. And again, like it's almost like I want to talk about it and tell people about it sometimes, and sometimes I kind of say, you know what, I don't think there's much we can do.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of, again, like people like Andrew Tate and people like Trump that are willing to put their necks on the line, their neck out there and take on that heat and take on that fire for talking about stuff that needs to be talked about. It's kind of like it's a weird situation where it's like the world's kind of going in a really bad direction and you almost want to step in and do something about it. But at the same time, you think to yourself, this is going to get really ugly really
You might get
fast.
crucified. Yeah.
Do you really want to, take that challenge on? It's not fun.
You brought it on yourself, and we were just going to get into that part of that segment of the podcast.
Wait. Before you get into, I know where you're getting to. How do you stay sane? Like with knowing all those issues,
Information.
Like, how do you still like?
How do I stay normal? I don't.
Yeah.
I lose my fucking mind. Alcohol, shisha, and good family members around you to keep you grounded, man. Honestly,
And the cigar.
Yeah.
Listen,
once in a while.
I do lose my mind, and sometimes like it is stressful, and like a lot of times I'm happy that my girlfriend takes care of me, and she really like good support system to have there. But there are times that, I'll go through like mild levels of depression where I'll just sit there and I won't want to talk to anybody because in your head, between the pressure of all the different companies and the pressure of the world trying to, fight against everything you're trying to do and the world's kind of falling apart. The thing is, listen, ignorance is bliss. When you're ignorant, life is easy, nice.
Everything's happy, sunshine and rainbows.
Go fucking drink your coconuts on the beach and never think. But the problem is, I know the truth. I know that I have to find a way out of Canada. I know that I have to get passports in multiple countries. I know that I have to make investments around the world to secure my family and the people around me. I take on a lot of that pressure for my family and my friends that I do care, and I don't want any of my friends to be stuck in Canada in a bad position. So I can only push so fast and so far. I don't come from wealth growing up, so I feel like I'm starting the race from the bottom, and right now they've just added a really shitty timer on how fast basically to like it's a clock and it's about to expire, and when it expires we're all kind of fucked because of what's happening with the world. with the World Economic Forum shit happening, with the 15-minute cities, with the lockdown measures. Now they're going to use carbon lockdowns and excuses to prevent you from flying. You want to use digital IDs, CBDC, central bank digital currencies. All this shit is coming out into the world, and it's not a good look for us. It's going to start getting really scary really fast. So there's going to be a lot of restrictions, and freedoms are slowly starting to disappear. Freedom of speech is one of them. Freedom of information with all these C11 or C16 bills that prevent people from posting whatever they want. Governments telling you where you can and can't go, as we saw during COVID, that it's going to probably get worse in the future. So all of these things are starting to put pressure on me personally, where I'm starting to worry about how the hell am I going to secure myself and my family and my friends. So I think that's actually a big motivating factor for me to actually push myself still and work harder and harder so that I can kind of step back, have multiple outlets to go to, and basically be like, hey, if Canada goes to shits, I'll go here. If here goes to shits, I'll go here. I'll move around wherever I need to go.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so it's scary, but yeah, that's kind of, I don't say stain. So that's I'm not saying at all. I'm kind of slowly losing my mind, but hey, I'm 30. I give myself 5 more years before I lose my mind. Okay? I got 5 more years in me to just hold on. So,
but I think working is also a distraction, right? You stay like focus on your work.
It is, but it is important to my distraction, for example, is my social circle. It's being with my girlfriend, being with my friends, being with my family. You know, I'm very close with everyone, so them coming around, having a laugh, talking about memories, having drinks, that honestly is the only time where I actually truly detach. I forget about all the bullshit.
You feel sane again.
Exactly, because when I work, I still think about all the bullshit. My mind's still going and going and going. But that moment where you can have that drink, sit down and talk to your friends, that's when you start to go back to normal. And you know, if I don't have that, I'll start to lose my mind. So for sure, it's a valid question. You're doing too much and having all these thoughts about all the shit that's happening in the world. It's not easy, and that's why people ignore it, man. That's why people don't want to deal with it and look at it, because I don't blame them. It fucking sucks.
Like, I mean, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to deal with it. Just let me live. And
just let me live my life. But the problem is you can't do that for too long.
But yeah, it's not just not want to hear it. Like it's also cool to be opposing of that.
You're talking about the whole, it's cool and trendy to be like
against that. Like, no, we're fine the way we are. We want that 50-minute city.
You know what's funny about it right now is
it used to be that. It used to be fuck the system.
Yeah, back in the day, if you said back in the day, if you wanted to dye your hair and you punk rock, you were like, yeah, fuck the system. I'm gonna do what I want, express myself. Now, if you're a Christian, wholesome, like a Protestant fucking kid or a Catholic child, you're the rebel. If you're like, I want to pray, I want to have a nice family with 3 kids.
No,
you're the rebel. You're against the system.
They say you want to enslave a woman. All that bullshit.
Oh my god, being a good kid and having a good morals is evil right now. It's like it makes no sense. The world's gone so backwards. Shit is hilarious to watch. What's happening?
You got to be a furry to be like.
You got to be an animal in school if you want to get treated well. If you're a straight cis white male, God help you.
Forbid. I'm the number one enemy.
I'm Armenian. I'm not white. Somewhat. I'm not. Like, I swear. I don't have white privilege. I come from war-torn countries. I come from, difficult times, immigrant parents. But man, if you're like a white-born cis male, which basically means straight fucking male, you're screwed. You get no love, no support, which is actually one of the big things that I loved about Andrew Tate is he actually stuck up for a lot of guys, and I feel like guys never had any fucking support system now.
You can also see that, right? You can also see the support of that guy, of the message he's bringing. Like, the message was not like broadcasted a lot, and now that it's like doing well through Andrew Tate. Like, he got a lot of following, a lot of young people, a lot of guys following.
He got a lot of
men are depressed. Men are depressed and desperate for that guidance, man. Like, you understand the suicide numbers.
In men.
Depression, men. Homelessness, men.
But men has privilege. But men have all the privilege.
It's like, listen, guys, this whole patriarchy bullshit that, men decide what happens, men get paid more. No, it doesn't, guys. Women are very well taken care of in our society today, and I'm happy about that. But also, whenever you give someone, it's honest truth, whenever you spoil someone or you give someone something, they take advantage of it, okay? It's normal. Like kids. You spoil them, you don't discipline, you don't put rules and orders, eventually they get spoiled. If you turn around and tell women, oh, if you say a man hit you, then no questions asked, we believe you. If you say you got raped, no one's going to ask you twice. You're going to be protected. If you, like, I've seen women, like I've seen it personally in my life, which bothers the shit out of me, is crazy women will go smack a fucking guy, start attacking them, beat the shit out of them, accuse them of raping them, and accuse them of so much shit, heinous shit. The guy's just like, man, I don't want to have anything to do with this. And the guy gets in trouble. The guy gets arrested. The guy has to go to court, spend money. And the woman just like laughs about it. It's like, yo, that's fucked up. And I have a personal thing where if you accuse someone of a crime, whether any crime, girl to guy to guy, doesn't matter. If you accuse someone of a crime falsely, and you're proven to have falsely, knowingly accused them of that crime, you should be punished equally or worse. Yeah. Okay? That's like a big problem in society. I think people have become very fucking spoiled in this world, you know. Privilege, right? And the privilege is not to white male specifically. I'm talking privilege is on the left side, is someone who says, hey, I feel like my pronouns are this and I feel like that. And that privilege to be able to go up to someone and demand that person, you call me that, and you should respect my fucking inner feelings. Fuck your inner feelings, bro. No one respects my fucking feelings. No one gives a shit. And that's what I kind of like about like growing up as like dudes 10, 20 years ago. You know, if you had feelings, people would be like, shut the fuck up. Grow up. No one cares. Yeah. Man up. Yeah. But that people are missing that in the world today. You're not allowed
to say man up anymore.
But the thing is, like, people are missing that these days. You know, like that idea of that slight bullying that used to happen, where people used to fuck with each other, and you know that builds toughness, that builds resilience. You make character. You make hard men that are that can go out in the world, and also you make women that respect men. That you take the women that are willing to create a family and to have passion and love. Listen. You know, the worst thing that could have ever happened is this third wave of feminism that you know, the first way, I understand, you know, they want rights, they want freedoms. I agree 100%. I was with feminists at that times. Now it's gone to a point where it's like, come on, guys, this is absolutely ridiculous. You know, you're just trying to demean men. You're just trying to take advantage of the situation. It's no longer about equality. It's no longer about having equal opportunities.
It was funny. Like after our talk on Wednesday, I think you sent the video. You sent a video. And it said like, I think for the last 5 years or so, like transgender, so women who are not biologically women have been winning like Women of the Year awards, Golden Globe awards, and the feminists are quiet about it. But if they're standing for women rights, I mean, you should
fight against it.
Like the video was about transgender women. Like they're
winning everything,
all the taking space of women, like in their own, like what women are supposed to do. Space, so it's really weird, and I saw that coming like when the Woman of the Year thing happened, and a lot of they also
Dylan Mulvaney,
the Bud Light, the latest
Bud Light lost $6 billion in market cap because of that idiot.
But the two things you mentioned that's related to this is the one thing: if you spoil someone, if you give someone something, it's like they have a saying, if you give a finger, they will take the hand. So in the beginning, I was also writing with LGBTQ, like, hey, whatever, these people have rights. Let them do what they want. But now it's getting like
propaganda.
It's getting like too promoted. It's getting like too like out of hand. Like,
so you want to put it in like kindergarten and stuff.
That's a line that you cannot cross. And that's the funny thing, man. Like my sister is a dancer. I've been in the dance world because of her. She has her dance studio now. And listen,
we were in the dance world too.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
It's a joke. It's
an inside joke. Get out.
But the thing is, listen, I've done ballroom dancing growing up, and I learned. And listen, I had a lot of friends, and a lot of my sister's friends that were gay, and that no issue with it, man. Like, you want to express yourself. You know, everyone has their own interests and desires. As an adult, you want to, you know, you like a guy.
It's
you
small
like a
girls
girl,
for you, man.
It doesn't matter. If that's what keeps you happy, that's what you want in life.
You should be able to do that as well.
And you should have the right to do that, and you should have the freedom to do that, and no one should judge you for that. I don't think anyone should judge anybody for anything. You know, do your fucking best in your life, work your ass off, and be a good member of society. That's the end of it. If you want to believe in a certain religion, feel free. You don't want to believe in a religion, don't. Do whatever the fuck you want. That's what I believe in. So I had no issue with it. I lived 6 months with my well, I wasn't living there, but I was there like pretty much every single day. It was my girlfriend. She lived with 2 gay guys, and they're the coolest guys ever. One of them was a chef, so he used to make the best food for us, and it was amazing. But you know, there's no issues with that. But even now, there's a group called Gays Against Groomers. I think it's gays against
Oh
groomers.
shit!
Oh,
Really?
the girls
I
against
didn't know
themselves.
about that. Yeah.
I love those guys. And
Okay,
bro,
okay,
the
okay.
problem is even their own fucking community is sick of this shit because it's not. Listen, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a very interesting question. How many transgender females do you see turning into men and then going and dancing in front of kids naked? But how many men do you see turning into fucking women and then
Oh, shit.
dancing provocatively in front of fucking kids?
Oh, shit.
These are fucking pedophiles infiltrating this shit, wanting to do their sick, twisted fucking shit. And because we're letting it happen, and because there's a hidden agenda somewhere there, they're getting their ability to go and fucking do this nasty shit. And I'm sick of it.
Sam Smith, yeah.
Fuck Sam Smith, bro, that fucking idiot. Like, and it's nothing against the gay community, but there is something against someone going up on stage wearing nipple fucking tassels and fucking wearing fucking half naked guy dancing
In front of kids.
like in front of fucking kids at the concert.
That's
bro.
not even like
That should be a crime.
That's not even extreme. Like I don't know if you know like the Dutch culture.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're
but
really like
what
open.
they're
School,
trying
preschool,
to
yeah.
introduce right
Yeah,
now.
they're
Yeah.
introducing it.
Yeah.
Even they have shows on television, like
I know,
kids.
I've seen
Well,
that shit.
but shows are
showing-
are
show-
okay, but
No, 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 no,
it's
the
show-
books,
no, no,
it's
no.
school
No,
books.
no,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
shows
Teaching
too.
the
The
kids to
shows-
touch themselves.
Yeah, also
like
in
that, yeah.
schools,
Showing you
but
how to suck a
Yeah.
dick. I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
bro, if my parents, if I was in school, okay, if my parents heard that there was a fucking book in high school, fuck kindergarten, elementary, bro, in high school, if my parents saw that I brought a school book home and it showed someone giving a blowjob, that school would have been fucked.
Yeah,
That school would have
yeah.
been immediately ransacked and they would have burnt every book in that building. Like, come on, like it's ridiculous. But how does it slide? I don't
Yeah,
understand how.
I don't know. It's really weird. I just know that the Dutch prime minister was in some way or another linked to a previous party that was like
Okay.
pedophile.
Oh,
They're
fuck.
standard for like the
all
pedophile.
that World Economic Forum fucker.
And now,
It's all-
yeah,
it's all
same
together.
guy. But I don't know. I'm not like judging these guys because I don't know like the really ins and out of that. But I'm just seeing like it's getting weird and weirder every time. So
100%, I agree with
Shit,
you. It's
man.
getting fucking weird. Schools are now having furries, which are kids that pretend to be animals, and
Yeah.
they have litter boxes.
You can't
in
say
class-
shit.
in washrooms. You
Yeah.
can't say shit.
They could be barking in class. And you just,
It's the problem,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Back in the day, if someone wanted to be fucking weird, someone would tell them, "Yo, that's not appropriate. It's enough," and it would disappear. Now it's encouraging it, and it's actually the opposite. Is there's stats that 70% of fucking kids under a certain age in the U.S. are identified as part of the LGBTQ plus community. Guys, that's ridiculous. It's a
70,
fuck-
around 70%,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
that's a fucking trend. That's just kids that want to fit in, that want to be
and
cool.
it's growing.
Well, it's growing because in the media they're pushing it as like this is cool, this
It's
is
hype,
fun,
yeah,
this is
it's-
hype. You want to fit in, don't be a straight white man, or you won't fucking fit in. You're gonna be hated on it. You're gonna be criminal.
And it's like what I was telling you about. I feel like in the Aruba community too, like people just want to support shit. And you got to think that those people are going to be parents one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a kid and they're like, the kid might not even be thinking it. And they're like,
Yeah.
it's okay if you like the other gender. And what's this kid's going to do? Okay, I'm a transgender now.
Yeah.
And
The worst is, okay, listen. Let's play devil's advocate here, and let's say, I would really want my son to be gay. For some reason, I'm part of the LGBTQ community, and I really want my son to be gay. Fine, let him grow up, let him make his own
choose,
decision.
yeah.
I could say, listen, there's nothing wrong with being gay if you feel that way, and if my son decides, hey, no, I kind of like women, fine, you should let it happen. Okay. Same with parents. That if your son ends up being, 25 years old and turns around and tells you, hey, listen, like, I know you might be upset, but I really like this guy, and this is how I feel, and I'm an adult,
that's
and I'm trying to
okay
make
too, yeah.
Yeah.
cool, fine, that's okay. But you're seeing these moms and telling them, oh, we started realizing that our daughter, which is their son, at 2 years old, was showing signs, and I'm like, signs? He's fucking 2.
Yeah.
How the fuck? What signs, bro? You're a kid. You play dress up. You don't know what the hell's going on. You
I
act
walked
like a
in my
lizard.
mom heels when I was like 3 or 4.
Yeah, bro, you used to pretend like you're a dog when you're a kid. What am I supposed to be a dog now? And you're supposed to like do surgery on me so
Yeah.
that I could become an animal? Like, listen, people have lost their fucking minds. I don't know what's going on in the world. I don't know if it's the food, if it's the drugs. I don't know what the hell's going on.
It's
But
the
people
fucking
definitely,
propaganda.
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
And the
they've
food
lost
doesn't
it.
help too.
There's a funny one. There's a guy in the Netherlands. He tried to he said like, I'm not gonna pay tax anymore because I feel like I'm
18.
underage.
Yeah.
have you
But he's doing it to like who you say that?
Challenge the
Mock,
system,
yeah,
yeah.
mock the
Mock the
system. Yeah,
system,
yeah.
There's one that's actually real and it's really fucking crazy that I saw years back. Transabled. You heard of this one?
Yeah, they cut off a limb or something.
Because they feel like they don't have an arm.
What
I'm
the
like, what?
They cut off
they
an arm,
literally
cut off
cut
a
it.
limb.
Yeah. Someone said,
that.
I feel like I'm blind, and put acid in their eyes and made themselves blind.
Good for
You know
them,
what?
bro.
Yeah, good.
Congratulations,
there
bro.
You, go. Be
You
blind
played
if you want
yourself.
to be blind. Like, taking God's gift, the gift that was given to you to see the world. Like, what a fucking gift, and you want to take it away? Listen, I don't know. You do you.
No take backs.
Yeah, no take backs. Seriously, but yeah, man, that's the problem with the world, and I don't know how to feel about it. I feel like I'm conflicted with emotions because it's so preposterous. It's so nuts that I personally can't wrap my head around it. I'm concerned for my own fucking well-being and my own life right now with the way the world's going. If these crazy people want to run around and be nuts, hey, do it. But it's the problem is when they start touching fucking kids and they start going and starting to influence poor fucking kids to then, take hormone medication. Bro, they're forcing kids, little boys, to take castration medication that they give to fucking pedophiles to castrate them, and they're giving it to fucking kids, and they're saying, oh, it's just because we don't want. You don't want him to grow in the wrong body because that'll be detrimental to their health.
And even as parents, you're gonna do like much about it, right?
Matt Walsh had a good.
You get arrested.
Matt Walsh had a good documentary about it.
And
What
that
is
guy
a
was
woman?
Canadian.
Yeah.
The dad who got arrested in Vancouver was fucking in Canada, got arrested because he had divorced his wife, and the wife, I guess, was pushing
Lost
really hard for.
Okay.
Well, the dad lost custody. Wasn't like they had shared custody of some sort, but the mom was basically really pushing for the. I don't remember, it was daughter, son, daughter. I don't know which way they flipped, but was really pushing for them to transition, and the school was also pushing for it, and the dad was like, absolutely fucking not. Like, this kid is way too young.
He said wait until he turns 18.
Yeah, wait. He's like, just wait. Like, I don't condone for this to happen. And they went around the dad. Well, they went around the dad's authority and they started doing it, and they started giving medication to the kid, and the dad lost his mind, so he couldn't do anything without using violence. So he went legal system and tried to sue them. Well, then he ended up fucking getting arrested and sued for opposing it, and he went to jail for it.
What the fuck?
As a father, to be like, I don't want this to happen to my own kid.
There was on that same movie. There was this transgender who's advocating against it.
Who regretted?
There's
Yeah.
a lot, but that's the thing is, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of people from that community, especially transition people who have transitioned, that have realized, holy shit, this was a fucking mistake, and people forced me because there's money involved in it, man. There's a lot of money.
But you can kind of compare
Follow
it
the money.
to it, like, now it's the trends. But if you look like nearby, like close by, it was like you can say the weed bloom. Like people were saying like weed is good for you, like you should do it, it's healthy, blah blah blah, which in grand part it is.
Yes.
But like if you have some type of like psychotic behavior, or something,
schizophrenia and stuff,
it can trigger it. It can trigger it. So it's good, but it's not that good for you. So wait till you develop your brains.
Oh, you shouldn't be smoking weed before you're a fucking certain age.
Yeah.
Your brain develops till 25.
Yeah.
So you're smoking before that a lot. And
It
unfortunately,
can fuck you up.
Listen, I've smoked too, and I know a lot of my friends that do smoke a lot. In Canada, it's legal, right? You can ship it to you can Uber it to your house, you can pick it up down the street. It's super easy. And unfortunately, yes, it's good because, for example, I had a lot of back problems, and using CBD oils helps a lot sometimes. When my back's hurting a lot, I don't want to take a bunch of Advils because it's not good. CBD is way better for me. So sometimes I would do that. And I was so happy that it got legalized because it was helping for my medical reasons.
Yeah, because you got the accessibility to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're right. Having now access to 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old kids to be smoking fucking pot nonstop and having it so easy for them to access is not a good thing either. So again, that's like a hard argument because you don't know which way to go.
And then alcohol too. Like it's
like
we get it, but it's horrible for you. It's poison, but we enjoy it, especially with a great cigar. You know,
It's good.
Every now and then you can enjoy some good alcohol. Good
You can't be that thing in life, man. Live your life, stay healthy. But honestly, worse than alcohol, personally, I'll tell you guys, worse than alcohol and smoking and all that shit is food. Food is a big one that people don't fucking realize how bad it is. Sugar and carbs. Okay, like stay away from wheat. Stay away from listen. The healthiest diet is a diet from 500 years ago, before any humans started meddling with fucking food. Don't eat fucking starch and corn and all that crap. Just steak,
vegetable oil.
Bro, vegetables horrible for you. Olive oil's good. Have your fucking butter. Have your fucking steak. Have your chicken. Have your proteins, seafood, all of it good. Have your greens. Have your broccoli and asparagus and all that shit. Good for you. The second you start going into your pastas and pizzas and you start eating bread, people will have like a nice healthy meal and they'll have fucking bread with it. That I've done it a lot where I'll go onto a healthy diet where I won't have any carbs and any sugar. Like literally no sugar, no.
But how do you do that? Because there's sugar everywhere.
It's not easy. What I do is I buy like me and my girlfriend will go and we'll buy a couple of we'll buy like bulk like steaks and like nice quality steaks and seafood and shit. And I'll just go every couple of days, buy the fresh vegetables, and all I'll have is fucking steak, vegetables, chicken, vegetables. That's it. And with water. That's it. And man, you don't have sugar, your hand starts to shake, eh?
Yeah.
If you've ever done a full sugar cleanse, like no fruits, no vegetables, like
you've
no
developed
fruits.
an addiction to it without knowing.
You're the most addicted to fucking sugar, guys. Sugar is insane addiction, man. Like you'll have 3 days where you'll be like this. You'll be panicking. You'll be like, oh my God, like I need sugar. And you're like, this is how crackheads feel.
Yeah.
Like when they don't
Yeah,
get
you
their
compare it like the same thing like when you're kicking off, going cold turkey against like hard drugs.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly the same. I think it's harder. So, and everyone's addicted to sugar, and you're right. It's really hard to fucking avoid because you've been doing it every single day of your life. So when I stopped eating sugar, man, your clarity, you don't crash. When you don't have carbs, right, which is technically sugars, your body doesn't go like this. Your energy levels stay stagnant. That's why the keto diet is relatively good. It's like the carnivore diet, the all-meat diet.
Yeah.
So fucking good for you. It stops a lot of autoimmune disorders. Not everyone will be able to do it. Obviously, everybody has different health restrictions and stuff, and you have to get that checked out. But a lot of people I see, they're like, oh, I'm eating so healthy and I can't lose weight. I look at their fucking diet, bunch of fruits, bunch of fucking bread. Oh, it's whole wheat bread. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Get rid of
bread,
all of
yeah.
it. Stick to the fucking raw food, and you'll be feeling great, and you'll be very healthy, and you'll actually lose weight and gain muscle. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So a lot of the problems in the world health-wise, I think right now comes from like processed carbohydrates, carbs, and sugars.
Yeah, and
That's
let's
sad.
not talk
That's
about
sad.
the water in the States. Yeah.
Oh, fluoride and all that garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they put so much crap in it.
And you,
You guys have good water here, though.
Yeah.
Like really clean water.
Yeah, it's one
thanks
of
to the plantation right next to. Well,
Yeah, it's over here.
The
Yeah.
web.
yeah.
It's
Up until
straight
now,
from the
it's very
sea. Yeah.
Oh, how long has it been that's been there?
I don't know. Maybe like since the World War, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's before
old.
that, like maybe
Yeah.
1928 or something like that.
Oh shit!
I've read it on one of those Facebooks from Old Aruba or Instagram from
Wait.
Old
So
Aruba.
that
Shut up.
big ass plantation, not an oil refinery there?
No, the oil refinery is
is
all the
way
way.
more. Yeah,
it's by Baby
By
Beach.
Baby
right?
Beach,
Yeah.
yeah, the oil refinery,
that's
yeah.
not
That's not
working
it, okay.
either.
Oh, it's not.
It's
No.
not working. Yeah,
Oh, wait,
because
2 years already.
It's shit from 1940s
Okay.
during the World War. Like Kendrick explained to you, like we used to supply the ships with
the oil.
with oil and
Yeah.
shit. But right now it's not working. Like they're trying to figure out what they're gonna do with it. But back to the diet, as you said, as we talked about like the transgender shit, you said meat, and then you have like the
Vegans and pushing that agenda. Yeah.
pushing that agenda, and then you see the soy effect, like the soy boys. Like
Oh,
if you don't know what the
soy
fucking soy boy
Yeah,
is, it's
soy
like
boy, yeah.
soya like affects your
protein.
fucking testosterone and shit, and fucks you up. And
Listen,
then
as a guy, that's very dangerous.
yeah.
But that's a very big problem right now. And these oat milks and all these alternatives, bro, they try to frame it as like this health benefit. Fuck that shit. It's all unhealthy. They've
Also
tried.
the artificial sweeteners.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all horrible for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. They try to disguise everything as healthy. It ain't fucking healthy, man. And they try to tell you that meat's unhealthy because there's no profit for them to tell you that meat's healthy. They try to they'll always tell you what's good for you is bad for you, and what's fucking bad for you is good for you. Like because that's where the money is, right? So
Follow
again,
the money.
listen, you want to, and I know a lot of people who are vegetarian because they don't want to hurt the animal and they feel bad. And I understand, man. Like I love animals too, and I get it. But at the same time, I understand that we're part of the ecosystem. And you got to remember, like when I worked at Reptilia, I learned that crocodiles in Africa, so the Nile crocodiles were about to go extinct. And they actually introduced legalized farming for their leather, crocodile leather. But before they legalized it, poachers were coming and murdering these fucking animals. And there was a very big shortage, and it was almost about to be extinct. It was on the extinction levels, right?
Yeah.
Well, they introduced the farming. Companies came in and started fucking breeding the shit out of these crocodiles. Now, no extinction problems. They're still getting the leather for them, but now there's a profit to be gained by keeping the animals alive. And it's the same thing that happened. I don't know if you guys remember the story about the lion in Africa.
The last one.
The big one. That was like a very famous lion that got killed.
Recently?
By the poacher.
Yeah, by the poacher. It wasn't a poacher. It was actually a hunter.
It was a hunter, yeah.
Like those luxury hunters.
Yeah,
like you pay
I
to
forgot
go
what
in.
the hell the name of the lion was. It was a very famous name.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, I'm refilling ice.
Mufasa.
No, I wish it was Mufasa. But
Not a famous line.
he's gonna search it up right now. But basically, what happened was this hunter it wasn't actually his fault. I'm not sure if it was his fault, but the guides or whoever he was with, basically the way it works is there's these hunting lodges in Africa.
There's Cecil the lion.
Yeah, Cecil the lion.
R.I.P. Cecil.
Yeah, R.I.P. Cecil. So what ends up happening is this hunter pays $15,000-$20,000 to basically have the have the ability to shoot this lion, which I don't like personally. I like free game. If you're gonna hunt, free game. I don't like this whole like they know exactly where it is and shit. Basically, someone fucked up and they ended up shooting a lion that they weren't supposed to shoot. It was Cecil the lion. It was a very famous lion, and he was the one that breeds with all the females and stuff. And they were not supposed to touch this lion because whenever you have hunting lodges and stuff like this set up, trust me, they care about the animals. They care to make sure that there's a population growing because there's money coming in, backing this shit up. So they're making sure that money's there. Guess what? Cecil the lion gets shot. All these protesters, PETA, we shouldn't have these hunting for these lions. It's horrible. They shut it all down. Guess what happens? Poachers come in now with no protection, and all these lions are getting screwed. They're getting murdered, and these guys are selling it on the black market. Now, guess what happens? Those lodges that were there originally were using the profits to protect against the poachers, to reinvest in the habitat, and prevent poachers from attacking.
People don't know this. People don't know this. They pay a lot of money just to hunt, and they invest that money back into it.
I would rather have people hunting that way and that money being responsibly used to protect the wildlife. The same in Canada. If you have your hunting license and you hunt, let's say ducks or whatever else, they have tags and they have limits of how much you can hunt each animal per season and how much each person can do, and they check and they make sure that the wildlife is growing. And if there's certain animals that are not doing as well, they'll restrict you from hunting them. You'll hunt another type of animal that maybe is overpopulated and it's causing a problem. Like for example, there's these ducks in Canada that eat bass eggs, and so what they were doing is because they eat the bass eggs, they were fucking up the fish population. So they had to bring in the military to go hunt these fuckers. Okay, they had to start killing these ducks because they were so overpopulated that was starting to cause problems.
In Texas, they hunt the boars,
because the boars are a big problem. So we're all part of that system. So I understand the whole point of I'm a vegetarian. I don't want to hurt animals. I get it, but you got to also understand that your avocados that you're eating. To pesticide and to make those farms happen,
they're killing a lot of animals. Yeah, so protect that. Yeah.
If you want to make yourself feel good, do it, man. I get it. I don't care. But you can't fool yourself and tell yourself
be realistic about it.
It's not healthier. Okay. And it's not basically the way the world works. Something has to die for you to live. Like it is the world. There's a balance. But it's our responsibility. It is an ecosystem, but it's our responsibility to preserve as much of the beauty of the world as possible and to put our time and energy. And what I love to do is if I can have, my goal is once I'm, where I want to be and I have the money that I want to have, at 36 or 35, I want to dedicate my entire life and my time to my horses, to dogs, to animals, to wildlife. I want to buy natural reserves and places that, animals are living that might go extinct and stop commercialization of those areas. I want to do all that with my life. So I truly love animals. And so I know about this topic a lot. And so I feel very strongly like a vegetarian can't come around and tell me, hey, it was funny. The first time I had this experience is we went with Reptilia, the whole group at the whole zoo. And we were we're at a restaurant, Wild Wings. It's a wing spot in Canada. If you guys ever go to Canada, wings. You guys don't know fucking wings here. Canada's fucking like a list of 200 flavors of different types of wings. It's fun. So try Caesar Dust Texas. All Stars or Wild Wings. Caesar Dust Texas. That shit's good.
And try that when we reach
100%.
Canada.
So what ends up happening is we're sitting down having wings. I'm young again, and the waitress comes in and goes, "Oh, you guys are working at the zoo. We're all in uniform, our zoo uniform." And she goes, "Oh my God, I'm a vegan. I won't kill animals. I love animals." And I think because she got pissed at us because she goes, "You guys keep animals in captivity. You guys keep them in cages. Like I don't agree with zoos. I think zoos are horrible." And I stopped and we're like, "Hold on, what the fuck do you know about animals?" I said, "You have a dog?" She goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "You keep that captive in your house? What the fuck's the difference?" And then I said, all these animals here that are coming to the zoos are animals that don't have homes. We're giving them enrichment, a good life, a safe life, probably going to live longer than they would ever live in the wild. These animals are happy as fucking shit. You don't understand. A snake doesn't need fucking 200 acres of land. They'll find a fucking rock in the ground and they'll stay there and they'll move around a little bit and they say, "Oh, I'm good," and they'll go back. That's how snakes like to live. So we give them the right environment for it. So zoos are not bad. Can zoos be bad? We look at Marineland?
Yeah, Marineland was. But Marineland was the one in Canada. With, the guy Phil from Joe Rogan. he fought with the fucking walrus and shit.
Yeah.
But if you look at the documentaries from Steve-O and such, Blackfish, you see that SeaWorld was a shitty place.
Yeah,
too.
because bro, listen. You can't keep an intelligent animal that requires an immense amount of space, like a dolphin or a whale, orca whale. In a fucking,
but they're social also. You can't keep them alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's certain animals, you shouldn't. But there's also certain situations that if they're a zoo and they have the facility for it, and that animal was trafficked illegally, and they realize, shit, we can't reintroduce it into the wild and have a program to try to reintroduce it into the wild, that's a beautiful thing for the zoos. And you got to also remember that zoos have an organization. We follow basically a group that you have to be accredited by the accreditation program, so that zoos could actually trade with each other animals according to what facilities are available and help each other find rehome these animals. So yes, there are situations where zoos are bad, but also zoos are amazing. And so this is when I start to realize that people with this extreme mindset of, listen, the propaganda of, I'm a vegan because I don't want to kill animals and I believe in this. It's like, listen, you guys have to really understand how the world works and how animal welfare is before you can start having these extreme views. Right? It's the same thing with food. Sure. Same thing with politics. Same thing with everything in the world.
Like we're reaching the end, but like you said in the beginning, I can't just call you the Steve Irwin of Canada.
Yeah,
but it's not that. But seeing your future plans as you want to buy protected animals, that's one thing that Steve Irwin strive for. It's like, if you want to protect these habitats, we got to buy them.
Yeah.
And by buying them, you need to have zoos. You need to have those, institutions in place to have money to buy those acres to protect them.
100%.
And also the money coming in, and maybe from the overpopulated species, okay, let's hunt them so other species can thrive and do that. So I think,
there's a guy in Aruba that kind of does have a zoo.
Oh, no way. You've been there? No?
You have to go there.
Oh shit, yeah, you should go there.
The guy's called Philip. He has like a small zoo. It's actually...
It's called an animal garden.
Okay, it's actually his house, and he built like a nice surrounding
people
for different animals.
Can pay and see the
Well, that's
animals,
exactly what it is. That pay
habitats from that.
Well, exactly. That payment goes to help. Exactly, man. Like the world. I know people are crazy. They just.
I want to dive into the last topic. Go.
Okay. No problem.
There's a great season coming into the U.S. right now. Elections. What are your thoughts?
What needs to happen?
What do you think might happen?
Ooh.
And how are you going to prepare for it?
Okay. Election time for the States. Now, listen, I'm not in the States, so I cannot vote, unfortunately. But what I think might be happening, and this can be, again, a very controversial topic, and...
you might get flagged like your fucking...
we might go, your channel might go down, as Trump said on the Nelk Boys podcast. You guys are going to get demonetized and shut down real quick. So... listen, I think Trump, you can hate him all you want, but I like to look at the facts. When he first was running, I thought to myself, I didn't know him that well. I didn't really, I knew he had a TV show and stuff, but I didn't know much outside of that.
You knew The Apprentice and
that's
the
about
WWE
it.
stuff.
I thought to myself, what the fuck, guys? Like, really? This guy's going to be running? This is kidding me? There's no politician. But
that's a circus, yeah.
It's our...
outside influence?
No, it's not even outside influence. It's our ignorant mindset to think that politicians are somehow doing a better job than anybody else, and that if hasn't been a politician his whole life, why is he running for presidency? We were wrong. I was wrong, and I think the rest of the world was wrong. This guy came in and did a phenomenal job, and the way we can tell is very simple statistics. Forget jobs going up. Forget the economy doing better. Forget all that. For 4 fucking years while Donald Trump was president, there wasn't a single war in the world. There wasn't a single war or conflict that the U.S. was involved in. Okay, that is unbelievable, because every other year outside of that, the U.S. has been bombing country after country. This goes to show that Trump was against the whole indoctrination of the U.S. trying to control the world and trying to, make money in the back end.
Empire in the world.
Exactly. So, but that's a very dangerous thing, and that's why they were against Trump. But I think the only reason why Trump even won the first election, that presidency, was because no one expected him to win. If you rewatch the elections, you actually watch online where like the news broadcasters and stuff, which again is all bought and it's all owned by three major companies, and 2 of those big ones are Vanguard and BlackRock, which basically controls everything in the world. Okay, they own probably 30% of every single company, every major company in the world. So. You could look into that. Basically, what happens is these media outlets are saying, oh, Trump's got a 10% chance to win. Everyone's laughing about it. No one takes it seriously. Fucking day of election comes, Trump landslide wins. what the fuck? How is that even possible?
You can't rig it anymore.
They can't rig it anymore. They can't stop it from happening. So it happens. So what do? They spend the next 4 years trying to get Trump impeached. They try to demean his character. They do everything in their power. Instead of working with him, they try to oppose him because they knew that Trump wouldn't play ball. Trump was not going to be a puppet and take their bullshit. And we could see that actually by watching, go look up an interview with that Donald Trump did before he became president on the World Economic Forum. They invited him out to Davos to basically indoctrinate him into the program and see if he would comply with their crazy fucking concepts of the one world government and full control.
And he went there with other plans.
And he went there and he said, this is the stupidest shit I've ever heard, and basically completely ridiculed them on their own stage. So they weren't friends to start. So basically what ends up happening is Trump becomes president. We've seen the 4 fucking best years of the economy, and we've seen 4 peaceful years in the world. And now shit changes. I think he should have won the presidency, the last one, but they made sure it didn't happen because they were prepared this time. They put in Biden, and I'm so happy because the world is now seeing what the fuck is going on. And they realized that Trump was actually a good guy and he was in their favor. And you got to remember something very interesting is, do you remember when Trump lost the elections the second time around? That they stormed the Capitol, people were fucking losing their minds because people knew he shouldn't have lost. You know, the media would tell you, oh, these guys are extremists and they're crazy.
But if you look at the fucking facts, it's like there's like people who are dead that were voting for Biden.
There were states that were overcounted and undercounted, and it was exactly in the opposition against Trump. But so the interesting thing is those people that were, you know, getting up on the streets and going out and saying there's no way we're going to accept this, they were kind of right. But Trump even said, don't incite violence, take it easy. And at the time, he got banned off Twitter, and you could see the pure corruption. And you should look into Twitter files for anybody who hasn't looked into the Twitter files.
Crazy.
Elon Musk, this was a strategic play by Elon Musk with Donald Trump, I think, like in not directly with each other, but in the same direction for the freedom of speech to prevent the corruption that the U.S. government has had with all these major social media giants. And we see that corruption come out through the Twitter files. We start seeing all the information about how the FBI was directly involved, how the CIA was directly involved. So interestingly enough, Trump loses, fine. Biden comes into power. The world goes to shits. Right away, they pull out of Iraq and leave billions of dollars worth of weapons. They immediately start to invade Ukraine, like Russia, and they have this whole conflict of Ukraine happen. All of it starts to escalate really quickly because they have a 4-year timeline right now. Okay, when the next elections happen, I think without a doubt, the U.S. is voting for Donald Trump. Donald Trump will fucking win fairly if it happens fairly, but it's not. They're gonna rig it. They're gonna make sure he doesn't win. I hope that if he doesn't win, that the U.S. citizens are brave enough and strong enough to stand up against it and not allow it to happen and have a slight either revolt, coup, or a revolution or some kind of act to basically dictate that they're not going to stand for this bullshit. Now, will that happen? I don't know. I hope.
We'll see.
The world has kind of gone into a pretty, let's say,
Sauce is the word.
Like, no one's got balls anymore. The mean men. That's why Andrew Tate is such a big weapon against it, is because they don't want men to feel like men. Because at the end of the day, when shit hits the fan, you need strong men to get up and say, enough is enough. We're not taking this bullshit. Well, there are not that many men. If you look under the age of 20 years old right now, it's getting a little scary, right? Yeah. And there are out there, and I'm proud for those guys, because you know what? Good for you guys, man. Honestly, I love the fact there's people like Andrew Tate out there and Trump and other influencers. I try my best.
Cigars is boost your testosterone.
Those guys are brave to be. It's funny, man. Like when we were young, it was nice and cool to be a man, like to be a real guy, to have moral values, to want to raise a family, to protect a woman, to be a gentleman. It was an honorable thing. Now it's like to be a good person is almost disliked and almost like villainized. And it's like, fuck, for those guys who are still doing it and are still growing up to be strong young men, good for you guys, man. Honestly, good for you guys. It is not an easy time to be a strong and an honorable man these days. So I hope that the world changes soon.
If we look at the timeline, we're at the hard times.
Good times, yeah.
Now we're at the beginning of hard times. No, we're at the beginning of hard times.
The cycle, yeah.
So hard times create strong men. So if you want to survive, if you want to succeed,
hard men are going to come out of
these next 20 to 40 years. You got to be a fucking strong man. You got to be a real man.
Yeah, 100%.
If not,
And
that's
everything is
gonna
going to crash right now. You said the real estate market is going to crash. There's gonna a lot of big shit happening. So you need like real men to like strong men. Sorry for not
strong
men,
and
to,
strong
build
women,
up communities again
and strong women. And I want to say that specifically because you know what? Yes, we need strong men, but if you don't have women that respect the femininity that they have and the gift that they have, listen, the world was created. It's not an accident. We have a man and a woman for a fucking reason, okay? A man can only go so far by himself. You need a woman by your side. You need a strong woman by your side.
Like
exactly.
Backbone,
so, listen, if we have women that don't understand their value and are trying to pretend to be men and trying to act like men and they want to be, I'm a boss-ass bitch, I'm going to be independent, I'm going to do everything myself, I don't need anybody, that mindset will only set everyone back. When you have a woman and a man that knows how to act classy and how to be important roles in society and to raise a family and to raise kids and to show them the future, then our future is well.
And to be gentle to the men and to support them and to let them be men.
It's a team. Like my girlfriend and I, man, we're a fucking team. We do everything together. We support each other and we push each other. She's got a successful business. I got a successful business. But we come together and we work together as a team. That shit has disappeared really quick and we really need to get that back. And I feel like there's one silver lining to all of this, guys, is that when shit starts to hit the fan and shit starts to really go hard, like hard times start to come, people that have it within them come out.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't have no choice.
You have to,
You start to, like, for example, I would never be talking about this shit. I wouldn't ever want to be, you know, I kind of want to do my own thing. But you know what? Push comes to shove. Times are hard and you got to stand up. And that's why it's good that you guys have a podcast like this with cigars and scotch. And you guys are talking to young men and young women out there and maybe giving them good information they want to hear. I think that's why podcasts have started to boom. And people really want genuine information. Why do you think Joe Rogan is so successful, right? Because people want true, valuable information out there. So I think, listen, every action has an opposite and equal reaction. When shit starts to go this way too much, it's going to swing back the other way. I just hope we can survive it and it's not too rough. Okay?
Yeah.
That's all.
And I want to thank you for being here too.
Oh, guys, it was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure having you.
Hopefully I can come back soon. So.
Again, and we've learned a lot. We've gained a lot, and we hope to share that too with our audience. And you're always welcome here.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome on Aruba too.
Yeah, listen, you guys are very welcoming, and this whole island's welcoming. So
hope you
love being here.
Hope you enjoyed it.
For those who haven't been to Aruba, come. It's amazing.
I have one more question. It's kind of an advice for young men or women, whoever, teen or anybody that has $0 right now. Nothing. What would you like advice to build up to get at least to 6 figures?
Okay.
What are the steps?
I'm
Compact.
I'm going to explain this in a very, very, very simple way because I'm not going to go into too much detail about my life again and stuff that I don't talk about too much. I got to a point in my life where I had hundreds and hundreds of Bitcoins and a shit ton of money. I lost all of it within a snap. It was a really scary time in my life. I lost almost everything and I was in debt $50,000. Young kid in debt $50,000 at this point. But I had my mind. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew that if I put my mind to anything, I can always figure it out. There's always ways to make money. There's always a way to hustle. So it's not the finances that stop you. It's your mindset that stops you, okay? It's not finances. You don't need money to make money. It doesn't make it easier. Fuck yeah, it does. It's really hard to get to your first $1 million, right? But it's your mindset that really puts a stop to all of that. So I was able to get out of that shithole. I was able to leverage my knowledge and push myself through it so I can explain very easily. It doesn't cost much to go online and to put together a website, a couple $100, right? For example, if you're 4 or 5 friends and you don't have much money and you're really struggling, get together, find 4 or 5 bright people that you know and say, hey, listen, can we come up with an idea? Let's start a small business. Let's put an online website together. Let's maybe save up all together and buy one house together, rent it out and make a profit. And then we'll buy a second house together. We can't do it alone, but with 5 or 6 friends, we might be able to pull it together. The problem is people don't have that desire to really push and find a solution, right? You have to be relentless. That's the real key to be successful. You have to be relentless and you have to want it.
Complacent,
Yeah, people become complacent. They say, I'd rather watch a movie tonight. And, well, there's a video game I've been dying to play and Harry Potter's really cool and I want to go on. You can't do that, man. If you're struggling, listen, if you're in a good position, take a break, have your fun, 100%. But you need to push. And especially when you're young, and especially in times like this, you have no choice. You have to fucking push through it. And you guys have to come together, right? And that's the one thing that, I love that I do have friends, and a lot of the people that work in my businesses are my friends, right? But you need to be that one leader and go to your friends and tell your friends, listen, we need to figure something out. You have a good job, but we have a lot of time at nights. Yeah. Can we figure something out? Like start a podcast like you guys did. Start a small business. Figure out a small thing that maybe the world needs that you can offer. Even if it's shitty, even if it's tiny, start it, figure it out, move on to the next thing. You guys have to work together,
Trial and error, yeah.
Right now, when the world gets tough, it's all about coming together and working with people that you have around you. Don't fight each other. Work together to get ahead, okay? It's the only way you're going to get through it.
Nice. There's a good piece of advice. I see a lot of young people.
The tough gets going, man.
Yeah.
The tough gets going.
Can use that piece of advice and it's really like, what do you say, man? It's coming together, keep pushing, and don't be afraid to fail.
Don't be afraid to fail, man. Failure's fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it, man.
Enjoy the process.
Exactly.
Nice. Once again, it's really nice having you. Really nice talking to you.
Our first podcast in English.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I know that was a
but thank you. We
appreciate your time. We appreciate what the whole conversation we had.
I think the Balash Bro, we'll be thankful too for the audience you might bring in.
For sure, guys. And again, like for everybody like watching, if it's your first time watching this podcast, follow these guys. I mean, they're growing. It's good conversations. Unfortunately, I don't understand all of their podcasts. This will be the first one that I can actually understand. Yeah. But I promise you, next time I come on the podcast,
at least you know Coño, man. Coño,
yeah. But next time, we're not doing it in English.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
Let's try that.
Let's fucking get it, man.
That's a bigger statement than $500,000 Bitcoin. That's a tough one. I'll try.
Okay, cool.
Have a nice. Enjoy your stay.
Enjoy it, man.
Try to make it better for you. And
we'll keep in touch. We'll keep in communication. I think we'll have more conversation, valuable
conversation.
Without
a doubt, guys, and can't wait for the next one.
All right.
For sure, man.
Cool.
Hey, thank you, and we're out, man.